Hello, good afternoon from the GTEC Community Stadium in West London as part of Premier League Sunday. Full commentary on the way from the Premier League of the 2 o'clock kickoff between Brentford and Aston Villa. With myself, Chris Temple, alongside the former Chelsea and Luton striker Sam Parkin, who we'll hear from very shortly indeed. Two teams who've had slightly opposite trajectories in recent weeks. Aston Villa, of course, coming here off the back of those superb Premier League victories over Manchester City and Arsenal. Brentford, meanwhile, last time out, losing to bottom of the table Sheffield United. Both teams have unavailability issues today, but this, as the trademark cliche says, is always a tough place to come. Villa not quite as effective away from home as they are that majestic home form with that 15-game winning streak. So all set for an intriguing occasion here over the next couple of hours with us here on BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra. Teams in the tunnel, team used to come very shortly. Sam Parkin, good afternoon. This is a fascinating contest.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. I was here early part of the season for a couple of games and Brentford were out of sorts, but despite the injuries, the obvious omission of Ivan Toney throughout the season, the recent form here has been pretty good. 3 wins from the last 4, and I think, like a lot of managers in the Premier League, Thomas Frank, despite being down on numbers, despite being down on quality, he will come up with a game plan against one of the best teams arguably in Europe at the moment. He'll come up with a game plan to try and get the better of them this afternoon. So never discount Brentford in any game in the Premier League. We've seen that over the last couple of years, but this is a terrifically talented Aston Villa side they go up against today.
Aston Villa start the day 2 points behind the leaders Liverpool, who kick off at 4:30 against Manchester United. That one is live on 5 Live, kicking off right now as well. 2 other games in the Premier League. Arsenal against Brighton. Arsenal in the table between Liverpool and Aston Villa in third. So Villa with a win here at the GTEC Community Stadium, depending on what happens across London at the Emirates between Arsenal and Brighton, could go top of the table temporarily ahead of Liverpool Man United. West Ham Wolves is the other 2 o'clock kickoff. We'll keep you up to date with the goals that are going in those games as well. But let's bring you the team news as the two teams file past each other down in front of us. Brentford's red and white shirted players interspersed by mascots. Villa in their change colours this afternoon of a sort of bluey grey. We'll get our fashion correspondent Sam Parkin onto exactly what shade of colour that is very shortly. But the teams are as follows. Brentford make 3 changes today. Out from their defeat at Sheffield United go Frank Onyeka, Shandon Baptiste and also Neil Maupay. They bring into the team Mads Roersleff. We're expecting to play maybe on the left-hand side. Zanka is in the back 3 and Mikkel Damsgaard also into the team. Remains to be seen exactly how Brentford will line up, but talking to 1 or 2 people, this is what we're going for. Mark Flecken is their goalkeeper. Zanka, Ethan Pinnock and Ben Mee likely to form a back 3. Saman Ghoddos and Mads Roersleff on opposite flanks as the wing-backs, with Jan Elt, Norgard the captain and Damsgaard centrally, and then Keane Lewis-Potter supporting Johan Wissa up top. Of course, the big problem for Brentford over the course of the next 12 weeks is no Brian Mbeumo, who is having to have surgery on his injury and will miss the Africa Cup of Nations as well as Brentford's upcoming matches. As for Villa, they make 5 changes from the team which drew 1-1 in Bosnia against Mostar in the Europa Conference League to seal the group win and through to the knockout round of 16. Out from that team go Marshall, big miss Douglas Luiz today, suspended with 5 yellow cards. Luca Digne is also suspended today for 1 match. Zaniolo, Dendoncker and Duran also stepped down from that team in midweek. So they have Emi Martinez in goal. A back 4 of Konsa, Diego Carlos, Pau Torres and Alex Moreno. Matty Cash we're expecting to play on the right-hand side of the midfield 4, with John McGinn tucking in centrally in the absence of Douglas Luiz and also the injured Yuri Tielemans today, who hasn't made the squad. Boubacar Kamara and Jacob Ramsey completing the midfield lineup, with Moussa Diaby supporting the former Brentford man, Ollie Watkins, up top. Not only no Tielemans today, but Leon Bailey is fit enough for the bench. The Jamaican international has been in fine form. Brentford subs, Strakosha the keeper, Good, Maupay, Onyeka, Collins, Kurt Harris, Baptiste, Yarmouk and Olakipe. Villa on the bench have goalkeeper Marshall, Chambers, Longley, Zaniolo, Duran, Bailey, Dendoncker, Irobunam and young 16-year-old goalkeeper Sam Proctor. Blue skies above us, 1 or 2 grey clouds. It is a bit of a fresh Sunday lunchtime here, late lunchtime in West London, but this is BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra with myself, Chris Temple and Sam Parkin, bringing you full commentary as we stand by the kick-off. Villa in their bluey grey away colours will be kicking from left to right towards the end where their own supporters are, away to our right in the corner. Brentford in there, red and white striped shirts, black shorts and black socks. Brentford immediately putting the ball down the centre, looking for the early run of Damsgaard through the middle, but headed away by Villa from the edge of the penalty area. And the referee this afternoon is David Coote, who's been away on under-17 World Cup duty in Indonesia, but is back to his full-time Premier League role as Brentford early in the stages have it over on that far right-hand side. Played in field by Rusev. Now the opportunity down the right side of the box, looking for Lewis Potter. Volleyed away inside the penalty area by Diego Carlos, who's got the short sleeve and gloves combination on this afternoon in defence. The Brazilian, and Brentford win an early throw-in over on that far right-hand side. Early ball looking lofted into the Villa penalty area. Martinez thought about coming, but the ball just hangs up in the air, and then Brentford have an opportunity and flashed at goal by Wissa, and the ball in the end is with the goalkeeper Emi Martinez away to our left. Sam Parkin.
Bright start from the home side. Just waiting to see exactly how they're setting up. It does look like Godos going to be playing on the left-hand side. He's in a left-back position at the moment. That possibly is going to be a left wing-back role for him, and Murslev over on the opposite flank. So he opted to go with midfield players at full-back last week with what looks like 3 centre-halves. He's got more kind of attacking players in those wing-back roles, I would suggest.
Ezri Konsa just over the halfway line, down this near side. The Villa right in the early stages. That opportunity for Brentford a moment ago. The referee had actually blown the whistle in the build-up for a push in the build-up to that move, which hadn't filtered its way through here to our commentary position, which is about 10 rows back from the pitch, just up above the Villa dugout. McGinn picks it up in the centre of the field, threads it through looking for Watkins. That's a really important intervention by Ethan Pinnock. Inside left channel, it goes behind for the first corner of the game on the far left-hand side.
Yeah, terrific pass. There's literally no margin for error there. It's through the eye of a needle from McGinn. The pace on it as well, the direction, just bending into the path of Ollie Watkins. Ethan Pinnock has to be right on his mettle to clear.
They're taking a short corner, and they'll get another one here as the challenge comes in over on that far right-hand side. The short corner taken by Jacob Ramsey. It was Damsgaard who got across there and got the foot in for Brentford. This is right over in that far corner in front of the Villa supporters, who are almost curved round the corner flag on that far side in some of the safe standing areas here at the G-Tech. 2 minutes gone, 0-0. It's another short one. This time McGinn along the byline. Opportunity to drive it in. Blocked at the near post once again by Brentford, and it'll be another corner. They tried the same one twice in a row there. A cheeky one along the byline.
Yeah, it was interesting, wasn't it? McGinn doing what he does so well, just backing into Norgard, rolling him right on the byline and very close to getting a delivery across the 6-yard box.
Another short one again, this time back to Cash, who whips it in left-footed, headed away at the near post by Pinnock, runs all the way out through the penalty area to this near right-hand side, retrieved by Villa in the shape of Konsa. Now an opportunity for Alex Moreno, the Spanish left-back, who's recently back from injury. Long diagonal ball from Cash, dropping into the Brentford penalty area. Pinnock is there to head it away again. Retrieved by Jacob Ramsey for Villa. Out into the edge of the penalty area, left of the D. Alex Moreno almost had room for a shot. He still balled in his way through, and in the end he just lacked conviction. 8 yards out, and the ball rolls off his right foot and through to the Brentford keeper Flecken.
Yeah, far too easy for him to get away from Damsgaard, I think, was the initial Brentford player that came in to challenge. And then in the end, it was almost a tackle with Ben Mee. I'm not sure that was a strike that he put towards Flecken's goal, but more of just anticipating some contact coming in from Ben Mee, and it just deflected to the goalkeeper.
Given away by Ben Mee as he tried to clear, and it's McGinn for Villa. 25 yards out, flicked into the path of Ramsey, cleared away by Brentford up towards the halfway line. But a good sustained spell of pressure here for Aston Villa on BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra. Moussa Diaby, who's another one who played the majority of the early season games, just lost his place in the last few games in the Premier League, but back in from the start today with unavailabilities. Brentford play it forward from the back. Carlos, now it'll run from McGinn, but the pass, the layoff in fact in centre midfield from Kamara wasn't good enough, and it's hammered away by Flecken up towards halfway, where Keane Lewis Potter against Diego Carlos in the air is a no contest, Sam.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. I think we've seen that throughout the season, though, that Brentford have tried to play through the thirds a little bit more maybe than their initial couple of seasons in the Premier League, where they had the option to go long to Ivan Toney. So it's been a different type of setup, I would say, for the Bees.
Diaby driving towards goal. There was a desperate challenge that came in from Godos, and in fact the referee has given a corner as Godos just got a foot in there as Diaby threatened to pull the trigger 20 yards out. Corner.
Yeah, it was a difficult first minute for Aston Villa, but they've recovered really well and they're in the mood now. John McGinn, arguably one of the best players in the Premier League at the moment. He's really making them tick. He's getting the ball into the feet of Watkins and Diaby at will, and had an early flurry of set pieces for them.
So another corner over on the far side for Villa, it's their 4th one in these early stages. Goalless though at the G-Tech Community Stadium. It runs out left corner of the penalty area. Opportunity for Diaby over on that left hand side. Gets a low cross into the near post. Held up by Diego Carlos. Laid back to the edge of the area, and clearing the crossbar is Alex Moreno, just right of centre, right on the edge of the penalty area. Beautifully set up through the 2 centre halves, Carlos and Torres, and a third member of the Villa back line skying the finish.
You're right, it's so sharp and incisive. The decision making from all the Aston Villa players in the opening 5 minutes, they've been incredibly bright, and that was lovely. One touch play in a tight congested area, working the opportunity there. Unfortunately Moreno couldn't get the ball goalwards, but yeah, really good approach play.
Brentford worked the short goal kick out down the right hand side, but miscontrolled on halfway by Janelt, and it goes out of play for an Aston Villa throw-in on that far side. They will have only got back from the trip to Bosnia at Mostar in the early hours of Friday, so probably one training session maybe yesterday, and then the journey down here to West London. But that's something Villa have become used to. Only once this season they lost off the back of a Europa Conference League match. That was at Liverpool in the very early stages of the competition, just after they beat Hibernian. The ball back on the halfway line at the moment with Diego Carlos forward to Watkins, who rolls it round the corner, picked up by Ramsey coming across the field for Aston Villa, moving from left to right. Now it's Moussa Diaby, 25 yards out from goal. Janelt and Norgard immediately form a red and white stripe wall in front of him, and Villa have to slow it right down to walking pace. Every outfield player is at least halfway inside the Brentford half of the field at the moment. Villa really squeezing the pressure on as Diaby looks for the central ball straight into the hands of the keeper Flecken.
Yeah, unnecessarily forced really from Diaby. As you said, they're probing. They've got everyone in the Brentford half, and he just alleviates any pressure that was building on the Brentford goal by just tossing one into the area. Very comfortable for Flecken, but they're in control, in possession. They kind of build with the back three. Ramsey is listed as playing wide left, but he's playing really inside, kind of joining into that midfield, and it allows Moreno to have the freedom of that left hand side. It's a setup we're seeing with quite a lot of teams this season, but I think just trying to congest the midfield and make sure they get the upper hand there with the additional body of Ramsey.
Keane Lewis Potter was outfought on the halfway line there by Aston Villa, and the ball goes back to Martinez, who's in bright green, his trademark short-sleeved goalkeeping top away to our left. Now Diego Carlos on the right side of his penalty area for Aston Villa, then pinched away by Godos from Cash, and Janelt into Lewis Potter, edge of the penalty area here for the Bees, trying to build an attack. Janelt from the left-hand side, pulls it into Wissa, runs loose for Damsgaard. What a save by Martinez, down to his left-hand side, as Mikkel Damsgaard, making his first Premier League start of the season, came within a whisker of putting Brentford in front.
Great stuff from Lewis Potter, his first involvement. The weight of the pass to Janelt on the overlap was perfect. The delivery, they got a little bit of good fortune because it deflects absolutely perfectly for Damsgaard, who's arriving right on cue, and you still got to get past one of the best goalkeepers in the world, and he telegraphs it a little bit, I think left-footed towards the right hand corner. Martinez essentially read his intentions and makes a comfortable save.
Well, Damsgaard, for context, was pretty much on the penalty spot, wasn't he? And Martinez was almost on his 6-yard line, so it really come out to shut the angle down, but it was too close to Martinez, and maybe just a little bit of that match rustiness from Damsgaard, who hasn't really featured more than a handful of times this season because of injury.
It's such a good chance as well that I think the goalkeeper has to gamble to a degree, and he goes early to his left. Damsgaard doesn't really get the power on the strike, kind of side-footed it, and Martinez, as I said, it got away from him initially, but it was quite comfortable. He was easily across there.
Clearest chance of the game after 8.5 minutes, but it's Brentford 0, Aston Villa 0, as it's brought out by Christian Norgard, the new club captain here at Brentford this season. Down the right hand side they work it, opportunity for Roslev, hangs one up into the penalty area, headed away by Villa by Diego Carlos on the edge of the penalty area, and now Watkins, of course formerly of Brentford, had a very successful goal scoring time here, has never lost playing against Brentford either in 4 matches with Villa, as the ball is up towards the halfway line and given away by Villa, but retrieved over on that left hand side. A heavy challenge comes in on Moreno, and referee David Coote whistles for a free kick to Aston Villa just short of the halfway line.
Yeah, look sharp, Moreno to the loose ball there, really athletic down the left hand side. Obviously there's a big onus on him to get up and down really and show that athleticism, and to this point been very impressive considering he's not been a regular in the Premier League.
No goals in any of the 2 o'clock kickoffs so far in the Premier League, with approaching 10 minutes played in all of them. Full commentary of Liverpool Manchester United at 4:30 over on 5 Live in the hands of John Murray. But here at the G-Tech Community Stadium, Brentford have picked up a loose ball in midfield. There's Zanka, One of those installed into the team, but dispossessed is Konsa by Wissa on the near side. Konsa almost just took his time and then stood on the ball under pressure, and Brentford have got it. Edge of the penalty area from a throw-in, then a poor throw-in from the left-hand side from Janelt. Didn't really give Norgard much chance, but it's scrappy in the central third. Brentford have wrestled it back, and it's back with Pinnock just inside their own half. Both teams guilty of turning the ball over easily there. Over to the right-hand side it goes, and Zanka on the right-hand side of the Brentford back three. Long diagonal looking for Janelt. Out on the left-hand side. Volleys it first time across the top of the box. Straight to Boubacar Kamara of Aston Villa, and he'll travel away with it, the Frenchman, out to the left-hand side.
Yeah, a little bit scrappy last few minutes, but the decibel levels have gone up inside the ground. I think a little bit of belief growing. Naturally, I think there's quite a bit of pessimism around the place at the moment because of the lack of first-team players that aren't available to Thomas Frank, but that little flurry of tackles and half an opportunity that's been created, just giving a little bit of a boost to the home crowd.
Well, there, Jacob Ramsey was looking for a free kick for a challenge by Zanko on the halfway line, but referee Coote waved for him to get up, and now Damsgaard round the outside, checks back right corner of the penalty area for Brentford here, attacking the goal away to our left, cannons it against Moreno, and Brentford win their first corner of the afternoon after they won the ball back on halfway. Corner on the far side, the right, 0-0.
Yeah, did well, Damsgaard, I think, in today, because he impressed when he came on at Sheffield United, and he's looked energetic, always does look energetic. He's lacked a little bit of quality maybe at times and not had the impact that people potentially would have been looking for since he's come to the club, but yeah, he's an ever-willing presser, runner, and he's got the crowd on side.
Saman Ghoddos, the Iranian international, has gone across to take this on the far right side. He's recently been playing out of position at right back, but is on the left wing back role today. From the right side, hangs the corner up towards the edge of the 6-yard box. There's a wrestling match going on, which has left Ben Mee on the ground. He flings out his arms in frustration that the referee has waved that away. VAR checking in the background, Craig Pawson, I'm sure, as play continues with Brentford down the left side of the penalty area. Norgard runs into Matty Cash, and Villa with Watkins and now McGinn will bring it away down the right hand side. Brentford fans didn't like it. Over on the left hand side, Ramsey over the halfway line with Moreno outside him as the overlap. Plays it in now for Alex Moreno, who travels into the penalty area, shoots for goal left footed. I think he was caught in two minds for a minute, and that allowed the challenge from Roerslev to block it out for a corner.
Well, Watkins and Diaby are furious that the ball didn't get squared. I've got no idea why Moreno's looking square. He just needs to steady himself there and strike goalwards. It's brilliant play from John McGinn. It's the first time they've had a 2v1 on the left hand side. Ramsey is wide, plays it perfectly for Moreno. He's looking square. He's just got to smash it with his left foot towards the goal, and possibly Aston Villa would be in front.
Having just seen a replay of that challenge on Ben Mee, I mean, I'll come back to that in a second because the corner is taken short. Boubacar Kamara lofts it into the box for Villa. Brentford again have enough red and white shirts there to clear, and then there is a free kick this time for a foul on Norgard. Just having seen a quick replay of that wrestling match at the other end, I mean, Ben Mee certainly had a pretty strong hold of by the Villa defender. Yeah,
I think it was McGinn, and he's taking a risk because at no stage was he looking at the ball. He's just completely transfixed. Well, initially he's transfixed on Ben Mee. We're just seeing it again there. That is very, very close. It's again, and I hate the cliche, but if that's in the middle of the pitch, 100% that gets given as a foul.
He's almost got him in a chokehold. Yeah. It's one of those, isn't it? I mean,
it's one of the things that really frustrates me because your consistency in the middle of the pitch, 100 out of 100, that gets given.
I think that
Brentford
probably falls under the Howard Webb sort of not trying to re-referee the game, isn't it? Kind of clause, that one, I think, if the officials on the field haven't given it, as Villa at the moment in facing a bit of pressure inside their own left-back position, but Moreno, and then they've lost it. Boubacar Kamara is dispossessed, and Damsgaard tried to thread it through to Lewis Potter. Villa were alert, and Torres between him and Moreno, they managed to rescue the situation for Villa, but Brentford still have it on the right. Opportunity for Roerslev, cross-blocked by Moreno, back out to Roerslev on the touchline. Zanka swings a first-time ball in towards the penalty spot, headed away again by Villa. McGinn was back there, and they passed their way out. Well, I was going to say nicely, it's out of play on the far side off Pinnock for a Villa throw.
Yeah, no question that Damsgaard's in the team to release from that midfield trio. He looks like the highest player to just go and pressurise the centre-halves. Obviously, there's going to be a case where Wissa and Keane Lewis Potter are going to have to take care of the full-backs at times, and Damsgaard is releasing, putting pressure on those two centre-halves, and to this point it's a tactic that's worked well. They've overturned possession a few times in dangerous positions and made chances.
Brentford 0, Aston Villa 0 here on 5 Live Sports Extra. Commentary tonight in the WSL from 6:45 as well of Aston Villa against Brighton with Maz Faruqi. We've also got live rugby for you later on Sports Extra from the Champions Cup, and tonight it's NFL action, Cowboys against the Bills as well. So a busy day of live sport here on BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra as Damsgaard clips the heels of Alex Moreno on the far side, the Aston Villa left inside the Villa half, and it will be another free kick for the visitors. But it's the home side who've had the clearest chance so far. That effort from Mikkel Damsgaard from the penalty spot, straight at Martinez. Moreno having a chance at the other end for Villa a few minutes ago as well. And here come the visitors from the West Midlands. Down this right-hand side, Matty Cash, level with the edge of the penalty area. Back to Konsa. Both of whom are playing slightly out of position today. Konsa, of course, has been more central, but has found himself at right-back numerous times this season. Cash playing on the right of the Villa midfield today, in the absence of a number of players, as it's slowed down to walking pace again, and back to Pau Torres. Infield to McGinn, who's found a pocket 25 yards out here. McGinn tries to bend one, and again it's straight down the middle and easy for Flecken.
Yeah, no pressure on Pau Torres, and Brentford have got absolutely everyone behind the ball, probably about 15 yards or so from the edge of their own D. Really compact, but still John McGinn finds a lovely little bit of space, gets turned far too easy from that perspective, and just couldn't get the direction on the shot. Couldn't find either corner. Nice and easy for Flecken.
Flecken again, as we've seen numerous times, just taking every opportunity just outside his penalty area to wait for the opportunity to open up, and it's swung down the left side by Janelt, and Wisser has snuck in behind Konsa here. Johan Wisser away down the left hand side, support arriving. Wisser tried to stab it across goal. Diego Carlos was there to block it out. The flag never came, and it will be a corner to Brentford on the left.
Yeah, perfectly executed kind of build up from Brentford. Tactically they're going to have to look for that. Villa's line is so high. We know Wisser's got the athleticism to get in, and he gets in so comfortably there from a lovely ball from Janelt. Just felt round the corner on his left foot. Terrific pass.
He had half the field to run into, didn't he? He literally started his run on the halfway line. That's where Villa's line was, the high one that you talk about, Sam. Corner to Brentford on the left hand side. Godos to take. Last one caused an incident in the penalty area for VAR to look at. That one is towards the goalkeeper, who flaps at it, got two hands on it, but only batted it down. And now a chance for Villa to break away. Up to halfway, Moreno. It's got Lewis Potter in pursuit. That's a great recovering challenge from the Brentford man, but it runs loose. And now Ramsey up against Damsgaard, back defending. And Damsgaard that time called into defensive action, and he had to get it right against Ramsey. He was the last man.
Just got a little excited, didn't he? I think Ramsey, he was one-on-one with Damsgaard and just lost control of it at the vital moment. But Brentford do that so often. They actually normally push everyone forward. They left the RB 1v1 there up against Rurslev, I think it was. It's such a gamble. It's such an aggressive tactic from them, and they nearly came a cropper there.
That's the voice of Sam Parkin, the former Chelsea and Luton striker. Former teammate of John McGinn as well, Sam, from your St Mirren days.
He gave me a little wave.
Did he?
Before the kickoff. You didn't see that, mate, did you?
I didn't see that, no. Back in the glory days of St Mirren, which I'm sure will come again. They've had a good, decent season so far this year. But yeah, John McGinn, before he became a big household name in the Premier League, was a teammate of Sam Parkins. Down this right-hand side, now it's Matty Cash for Villa, 25 yards out. Villa from left to right in their bluey-grey away strip. Cash gets the return ball from McGinn, but it's overhit by the Villa captain and out for a goal kick. 0-0, we've played 18 minutes.
Yeah, that one's a poor one from him, but I mean the confidence he's playing with, you know, even in the opening 17 minutes is so evident to me. Everything's going through him. He's looking for that penetrative pass into Watkins and Diaby to set them away on goal. Always looking, not playing safe, but looking forward, trying to make assists, and yeah, the confidence is just flowing out of him, and I think a lot of that down to the manager, because he was in a difficult spot about a year ago. He was well out of form for him in, you know, comparison to the standard that he's set since he became a Premier League player. So it's been an incredible turnaround for him, and it's been an incredible journey. You know, 2018 he joined Aston Villa, got them promoted, kept them in the Premier League, and now hopefully maybe a campaign for Aston Villa within the Champions League.
Villa have lost it in the centre of midfield, and now Wisser travelling forward for Brentford over to the right hand side. Support arriving from the Dane Mads Roerslev, who just has to check back there with nowhere ideally for him to run forward. Hoisted back in by Zanka to the back post, where Godos allows it to run, and then headed back away from the penalty area by Carlos for Villa out to the left hand side. Retrieved by Janelt, but now Ben Mee sneaking forward down the left hand side. Back it goes to the halfway line again, and Pinnock, just to finish on McGinn, Unai Emery this week saying he wants more from John McGinn, which Villa fans are like, hang on a minute, he's been one of the stars.
Yeah, reverse psychology possibly, and probably just an example of the desire of the manager, how meticulous he is in every aspect of the club. We know that. We knew that from Arsenal. I think we've seen that to a greater extent since he's been at Aston Villa. The way he prepares for games, the way he's preparing for the next game on the way back from this game today.
Yep.
I think there's been shots of him on the team coach looking at the future opponents. But it's the improvement in the players as well, Chris. It's so apparent to me. Every single Aston Villa player has improved no end in the last 12 months, and that's testament to what he's doing.
Godos picks it up for Brentford down the left-hand side, looking for Lewis Potter. He'll get it inside right. Lewis Potter goes down. More of a stumble, says the referee. I think he probably called that one right, David Coote. Lewis Potter never seemed quite settled, but as he cut inside onto his right foot, there was a glimmer of an opportunity to get a shot away on Martinez's goal. As the ball down the left-hand side for Lewis Potter again. This time he's offside, so it'll be a free kick to Villa. Moment of ill fortune there for Lewis Potter as he suddenly saw a glimmer of goal.
Yeah, stumble and maybe just looking for it to a degree. Yeah, there's not much there. Just lost his footing. A little coming together between him and Carlos, but I don't think that was a penalty. But they're doing well, the two front players. Really athletic, on the shoulder, in between centre half and full back. Their mobility to this point is causing a big problem for Aston Villa, and Thomas Frank is applauding every time one of those front two do something beneficial to the side and just trying to encourage. Obviously missing players, but those two key to them getting success today.
Ben Mee's just taken a whack there as he jumped aerially, and the game is stopped here. He's been alerted, I think, David Coote, the referee, by fourth official Simon Hooper, as Ben Mee just took a whack there that forced him to go down onto his haunches. So the game will stop for a moment. You mentioned about the players that Brentford are missing, of course. We look at Wissa and Lewis Potter, who's not an out-and-out striker. He's been more of a creative sort of number 10 or wide player, hasn't he? But no Mbeumo today, 7 goals. No Jensen, 4 goals. They're 2 top scorers. Of course, Ivan Toney is closing in on returning. I think there's 3 more games that he's not available for. He's back in the second half of January. But you read me a great stat earlier on about they're missing 60% of their Premier League goals, Brentford, at the minute.
Yeah, incredible, really. You think what a talisman Tony's been, how easily he's made the step up from the Championship, and Bomo's been a terrific signing as well, especially when you think about them losing Ollie Watkins a few years ago and Mopai. They've just seamlessly been able to replace them. I think we're seeing Keane Lewis Potter just finding his feet maybe to a degree in the Premier League. Kevin Schade we've not even mentioned today. Big part, I think, of Thomas Frank's plans when he was talking about the absence of Ivan Toney. I was here for a game early part of the season, got injured in the warm-up against Everton, I think it was. So there's other players that had big parts to play that aren't available. Rico Henry, one of the best left-backs in the country, in my opinion. Formidable player, mainstay of this Brentford side. To have him missing, the talismanic Jensen as well. There's huge problems for them, but as I said right at the start of the match today, Thomas Frank is as good as any. I think formulating a plan to overcome these difficulties.
Yeah, and it's the first time really they've run into these difficulties, isn't it, in the Premier League to this extent. Ben Mee has got back to his feet, which is good to see, so the game will restart. But that injury list at the minute, with Mbeumo 12 weeks, Jensen, Henry, Ayer, Nathan Collins, who is back among the subs today, Josh Da Silva, Aaron Hickey, Kevin Schade you mentioned as well, plus Tony's ban. That is nearly a full team out.
Yeah, and speaking about formulating a plan, I think it's really been evident in the opening 20 minutes. They're using Damsgaard to release and go and pressurise the centre halves, which is a real strong suit for Aston Villa. Pau Torres' ball playing ability in particular, it made the goal against Arsenal the other day. He is terrific on the ball. They're disrupting that, and they're not being over elaborate with their passing game either. 1 or 2 passes in behind that high line of Aston Villa for 2 very mobile strikers. That wouldn't have been the way they would have set up if they had an Ivan Toney available, and invariably they've been a 4-3-3 this season as well. So we're seeing them set up against Aston Villa like they would for one of the top games away from home, be a little bit more direct and utilise the pace of their 2 front players.
Players just restarted after that, a bit of a discussion about which way the drop ball should be given back, but eventually it was knocked back to the Brentford keeper Flecken. Ben Mee has been treated and is still waiting for his designated 30 seconds to elapse before he's allowed back on the field after treatment. It's 0-0 between Brentford and Aston Villa here on 5 Live Sports Extra in the company of Sam Parkin, the former Chelsea and Luton striker. Mee is back on and is dashing back to his position in the centre of defence as Villa have the ball. I can tell you West Ham have taken the lead against Wolves by a 1-0 through Mohamed Kudus over the other side of London, the east side at the London Stadium. The ball is with Villa on the left-hand side. Torres hangs across up. Watkins getting in between, and Cash coming round the back. And it's off the outside of Matty Cash's right foot, who lays on his back in the goal mouth, frustrated that he hasn't hit the target.
Yeah, that was just Pau Torres stepping out of that defensive line and just gets a nice bit of space, kind of in a left wing position. Matty Cash possibly just going with the outside of the right foot when he could have cushioned that. He's kind of leaping away from Godos, so he's in the air as he makes contact with the ball, and he just stabs it outside of the right foot and misses the target by a couple of yards. I think had he been on his feet there, just steering it goalwards with the side foot of the left would have been the better option, but had to attack it in a slightly unorthodox fashion.
This is the 5th game this season in the Premier League that Matty Cash has played on the right of midfield rather than right back. He did score 2 at Burnley in that position in August, so the arrival at the back post, not a surprise to see from Matty Cash, as John McGuinness fouled just over the halfway line. Has lost his spot in the Poland international setup in the last round of games. Matty Cash wasn't selected for their November internationals. Had a bit of criticism about his performances internationally prior to that. And the ball on this near right side with a Villa free kick, taken down the right side of the box by Konsa, looking for Watkins up against Ethan Pinnock. That's a good battle, great fast feet from Watkins away from 2 Brentford defenders. Rolls it back to McGinn, edge of the penalty area, quickly closed down by the Brentford skipper Norgard. Back out to the right hand side it goes. Cash for the first time ball, looking for Diaby, hammered away by Godos, but only as far as Konsa, who's halfway inside the Brentford half on this near side as they attack from left to right in this first half. Floodlights just taking a bit of effect here, even this midway point in the afternoon. It's not been a bright day, although there's blue sky above us. Stabbed through the inside left channel by Pau Torres, looking for Watkins, and some desperate defending in the end by Roslev, who did get a push in the back according to the referee, and it's a Brentford free kick inside their own penalty area.
Again, really good play by Pau Torres, just stepping out, I think really taking leadership of the situation with Brentford so deep set and hard to break down and compact. He's stepping out, and it's just providing another problem for Brentford to try and solve. He's had good possession, about 40 yards from the Brentford goal on 2 occasions now. That one looked to slip it through for Ollie Watkins, just a bit overly aggressive, and Brentford get the free kick, but they've wrestled back control, haven't they, Villa, I would say, after a good 10-minute Brentford spell.
Brentford have it on the halfway line. Norgard plays it over the top. Wisser chasing through. Martinez comes out of his penalty area, and again up goes the belated flag from the assistant on the far side. Martinez just got there ahead of Wisser, but the flag was up anyway. But again, that high line was giving Wisser the place to run into.
Yeah, I think I read that there's been the most offsides against Aston Villa this season, which is not surprising the way that they've set up so far today, but they will get in. I mean, they have got in already, haven't they? Wisser down the left hand side when he was played in by Janelt, so it's a risky strategy, but it's one that's getting them great success so far this season. That kind of compression of the game and being able to go and win it high, that's a big reason for Aston Villa's success.
Yeah, it's 8 games unbeaten in all competitions for Aston Villa since their last defeat, a 2-0 loss at Nottingham Forest back at the start of December. Of course, coming through those excellent brace of 1-0 victories at home to City and Arsenal. Here they come, Villa, nodded down by Watkins. Jacob Ramsey with a big chance. What a recovery by Pinnock, just to do enough to put Ramsey off. I thought where the ball ended up, Sam, that Pinnock must have got a touch in, but actually Ramsey completely miscued his finish under the pressure, just right of the centre in the 6-yard line.
Yeah, I can't tell you how good that movement is from Ollie Watkins. It's absolutely superb, just recognising where the space was, pulling on the shoulder of Ethan Pinnock, and then the awareness to cushion it into the path of Ramsey. And I'm with you, I thought that was an Ethan Pinnock block, but it's not. It's Ramsey off the outside of the right foot, doesn't wrap his foot around the ball, and therefore goes well wide of the target.
Another good chance goes begging, but here's Watkins again now, left corner of the penalty area, threads it down the left side for Diaby, who looks to pull it back. It's into the side netting off the recovering challenge of me, and it's another Villa corner on the left.
Yeah, I mean, Ollie Watkins is purring right now. I said to you pre-match that I thought his hold-up play could still improve. Well, he's made a fool of me in the opening 25 minutes because he's been absolutely excellent with his back to goal. His movement again there, receiving it, the awareness to play in Diaby, all facets of his game absolutely right on point at the moment. That quick feet down near us a few moments ago, Chris, wonderful play up against such a physical opponent in Pinnock.
Yeah, you can see why they paid £28 million Villa to bring him from Brentford back in 2020, as the ball is played in from the corner and it's come all the way out to this near side off the outside of the boot of Zanka, and it'll be a throw into Brentford 10 yards from the flag. 14 goal involvements this season for Watkins, 8 goals and 6 assists to go with his 5 goals in Europe as well.
I can't tell you what that bit of movement does for the team. I mean, it's so easy for the ball to just get clipped up there, centre half come and win it, but the movement, the awareness, the spatial awareness from Watkins, absolutely fantastic. Little movement towards the ball, then spinning behind Pinnock, so difficult to defend against.
Brentford 0, Aston Villa 0, 29 minutes played here at the GTEC Community Stadium on 5 Live Sports Extra, with full commentary of Liverpool Manchester United to come over on 5 Live at 4:30, and WSL commentary on Sports Extra tonight from 6:30. Aston Villa against Brighton, as it's out of play on the far side for a Brentford throw-in, which Zanka will take. One of 3 changes made by Thomas Frank today. If you're joining us late, that long list of unavailabilities on Onyeka, Baptiste and Mope rotated to the bench today as Zanka, Roersleff and Damsgaard came into the starting 11. 5 changes for Villa from their Thursday night draw in Bosnia. The Europa Conference League, of course, now done for them until March, through to the round of 16. Same for the English clubs, of course, in the Europa League as well, the likes of West Ham and Brighton and Rangers heading for the last 16 in March, as the ball is overhit by Brentford down the right-hand side, looking for the run of Roersleff, and all the way through to Emi Martinez, defending the goal away to our left, who was one of those spared the midweek outing in Bosnia, as he has been throughout the European campaign, and holds the ball on the edge of his penalty area at the moment, the World Cup winner. The one thing Brentford don't want to do is let Aston Villa get in front, because they've won all 9 games this season when scoring the first goal, and they've won all 11 games when they've been leading. They haven't thrown a lead away all season once they've got in front, as the ball is out of play on the far side. It's actually a throw-in, no, it's a free kick rather, to Villa for a foul on Ramsey.
Yeah, he's an aggressive, competitive fullback. He's a little bit late there. There's no malice in it at all from Roersleff. Ramsey's just a little bit sharper over on the far touchline, gets to the ball. Roersleff with a bit of a wild swing, just he looked to clear the ball down the line, caught the Aston Villa wide player.
31 minutes played, 0-0, the ball on the far left-hand side at the moment with Boubacar Kamara, the Frenchman in the centre of the midfield, who's created the most chances for Villa in the Premier League this season without getting an assist. He's created 17 chances, none of them have led to a goal so far. Cash, back it goes to Konsa. All of this is again just at walking pace inside the Brentford half, who have their red and white shirts drilled and lined up in their defensive unit, not allowing Villa the space as they go side to side. Back to Diaby on this near right touchline once again. This time they're going to change the point of attack, and they work it through Diego Carlos over to the left-hand side, and the long-sleeve shirt of Pau Torres, and it's a great result for Brentford really there. They just kept Villa at arm's length, and they overhit the ball straight to Flecken.
Yeah, and that's a rarity, isn't it? Pau Torres loose in possession, really poor pass. I've spoken about Brentford's deep defensive line, how well set they've been. It's because Aston Villa are so bold in possession. When they're building, they've always got a front 5. You've got the 2 wide players who go alongside Watkins and Diaby, and then Moreno is right up there, up against Brentford's back line. So it's essentially 5 Villa players that are pushing that Brentford line back.
Lewis Potter wins a great header from the long clearance by Flecken there. Damsgaard, it was who won the header, in fact. I was confused that Lewis Potter had managed to climb above one of the centre halves. He's a slight figure, Lewis Potter, around about 5'7" or so, up against the big 6'+ centre halves. They won't be aiming too many at Lewis Potter in the air, as Diego Carlos just taking a bit of a chance against Wisser on this near side. It's a Villa throw, but again there's that just an element of risk. The Villa players are so brave on the ball, as Konsa stealing a few yards, spotted by the referee and spotted by Thomas Frank as well, the Brentford manager, who's right out on the edge of his technical area. Clutch of white note paper or notebook in his left hand. Unai Emery also right out in his smart dark overcoat, pointing, stretching the edges of his technical area as well. Simon Hooper, the 4th official, has got his work cut out down there, who was the referee involved in those horrible situations at the Bournemouth-Luton game yesterday. Of course, we're wishing Tom Lockyer well, but Simon Hooper, the referee, who had no real choice but to abandon the game yesterday on 4th official duties here at Brentford today. Ball over the halfway line with Villa on the far side. 12 minutes until half-time. Still waiting for the first goal of the afternoon here in West London. Villa with Konsa down this near side. Remember, they're missing Douglas Luiz, their midfield linchpin today. They're missing Luca Digne as well through suspension, both on 5 yellows, as Cash drives across the top of the Brentford penalty area, but only going sideways. Brentford have the routes all cut off at the moment. Torres out to the left-hand side. Opportunity for Moreno. He has to go back to Torres again though. Brentford happy for Villa to have it in this area of the field, which is about 30 yards out. Now Konsa presses for the forward motion, lofts one to the back post, runs all the way across the penalty area, and then Moreno just smashes it across the field. I don't know if he was trying to nick a deflection there and win a corner or something, but it missed everybody and went out for a throw-in.
No, I mean, his athleticism in his first half, his fitness has not been in question, but his decision making when he's got into great positions has been found wanting. That one opportunity where he probably should have scored, certainly have worked a shot onto Mark Flecken's target, and there, well positioned, good ball from Konsa, one full back to the other. Moreno wildly overhits the cross.
Back from hamstring surgery over the summer. Alex Moreno did good on target in the Conference League match against Legia Warsaw recently. Here's Boubacar Kamara for Villa, 25 yards out, looking to the left-hand side. Moreno was in there again, trying to pick up the pieces for Villa, just on the edge of the Brentford penalty area. Norgard, and then given away by Zanka nearly. It was rescued by Janelt, who's stayed down holding his leg. Janelt, play continues, Aston Villa in possession, then Cash is challenged by Godos. There are players down everywhere here, one from each team, and referee David Coote eventually decides that he's going to bring things to a halt because Vitaly Janelt, after a heavy challenge, is still down on the floor.
Yeah, and just watching Ezri Konsa, he's absolutely furious with Matty Cash. It was brilliant skill from Konsa. He stepped out from his right back position, produced a lovely bit of skill, gave it into Cash, and then Cash just turned into about 3 red and white shirts and the opportunity was gone. I think Konsa was looking for the ball just to be set. He's still having a go at him. It's tremendous. Still staring at it in Matty Cash's direction. Few words to say. It was brilliant play from Konsa, really frustrating for him.
Just seeing a replay there of Janelt. There wasn't a whole host of contact. I think maybe he might have just got a whack on the toe. It's just his left boot that is being flexed by the Brentford physio, but not quite as much contact as the initial reaction from Janelt would lead you to believe. Another opportunity for the players to come and take a drink and get 1 or 2 tactical instructions from Villa's point of view.
Might not be the worst time actually, Chris, for Brentford. They've just lost their way in the last 10 minutes. There's been a bit of frustration around the ground. Villa certainly dominating the possession. I think another problem for them is, you know, all these defensive players, if we can call them that, in Aston Villa's ranks, so happy on the ball, stepping out. We've seen Torres do it. We just saw an example of the confidence and the quality in Ezri Konsa's game. Really comfortable, stepping into midfield, going past people as well, and joining in with the front players. So, you know, this is a team full of confidence, and I don't think you can switch off for 1 minute, and that's kind of what we're witnessing at the moment. 10 tough minutes for Brentford just to get through.
Janelt is okay, takes a swig of water, spits most of it out from a drinks bottle down underneath us, and it will be restarted with a drop ball. So 9 minutes to go until half time. Still Brentford 0, Aston Villa 0 in the Premier League. Matty Cash down the right hand side for Villa, snaking his way across the top of the box, runs into Norgard, who shows brilliant quick feet, almost did a full 360 away from the Villa challenge, and then he's brought to ground by a combination of Konsa and Kamara, and Brentford have a free kick inside their own half. But what about that feat from Norgard? Get out of that tight spot.
Yeah, brilliant. And then I think great awareness from Wissa, nowhere really to go, but he knows he's got the pace, he knows he's got the sharpness to just get in the middle of 2 Brentford Villa players, and then there's going to be a challenge forthcoming, and just draws the free kick, and it has been building the pressure, so that just alleviates it and gives Brentford the opportunity to get up the pitch.
Sam Parkin with us on 5 Live Sports Extra. Brentford have the ball at the back at the moment. Ben Mee on this near side. No ill effects of that earlier injury problem for him as he lofts one down the middle looking for the run of Wissa, but it was read by Diego Carlos, then picked up on the run by Norgard out towards the left hand side for Brentford here. Back it comes to Godos as Brentford try and build down the left flank. Mee into Damsgaard, who finds a bit of space, goes back out to the left side of the box to Norgard. Brilliant build up. Wissa with the back heel looking for Lewis Potter, and there's Pau Torres to clear it away. Lovely build up from the Bees.
It was really good. I thought there was a pass on for Norgard just to penetrate Aston Villa's back line. Janelt made a lovely little run. He could have gotten on goal, but they built it down the left in turn, and very similar move to which the chance fell for Damsgaard early part of the game. So unfortunately Villa able to get enough bodies back to clear.
West Ham have got a second at home to Wolves, another for Mohamed Kudus, and 2 assists for Lucas Paquetá in that game. So West Ham 2, Wolves 0, still Arsenal 0, Brighton 0 at the Emirates. 3 London Premier League games this afternoon. Arsenal Brighton is live on 5 Live right now as Janelt swings across in for Brentford, headed away by Diego Carlos for the visitors. Still not quite clear. Carlos is there again as the ball came back and volleys it up towards the halfway line, where Godos is the last man and taking no chances under pressure from the fast advancing Ollie Watkins. Knocks it back to his keeper Flecken, who then returns it to Godos in a little bit of more of a tighter spot, and now a chance away down the left hand side for Damsgaard. He's in behind Konsa. Wissa at the back post, sliding in, can't get there. The flag comes up eventually anyway from the initial ball against Damsgaard.
Such a risky strategy. We've said it so often, haven't we? Janelt again, the provider, just turns it round the corner. Well, that would have been okay. The first phase, certainly Damsgaard's onside, just puts a little bit too much purchase on his delivery. It's not the worst ball actually, he does quite well on his weaker left side to just angle that towards Wissa, sliding in on the far post. And I'll tell you what, Thomas Frank holds his head in his hands. I think this game plan pretty much has gone exactly how he would have wanted. They've soaked up quite a lot of Aston Villa pressure, but when they've broke, 3 or 4 very promising situations. They've just not been able to get over the line, literally.
There's something in this for both teams, no doubt about it. It remains 0-0. It's a fascinating tactical contest. Thomas Frank and Unai Emery almost having a bit of dialogue through the fourth official, Simon Hooper down there. Certainly Damsgaard, from the initial ball over the top, by the way, didn't look to be offside from the replay that we saw, but maybe Whistler, they decided, was gaining an advantage by being beyond the last defender when the ball was ultimately crossed into the penalty area, but he didn't get on the end of it, so that is all really deemed irrelevant. But Brentford are showing enough at the moment for their supporters after 4 defeats in the last 5 Premier League games, as Flecken gathers it on the edge of his penalty area under pressure from Cash. And a disappointing defeat last time out away at Sheffield United, albeit with the Chris Wilder factor no doubt helping Sheffield United in that game. It's as many defeats in the last 5 as they'd lost in the previous 18, Brentford, as their lack of available players just totalling up on them, if you like. They've got it on the halfway line at the moment with Christian Norgard, right of centre, their captain, without his central midfield partner Matthias Jensen, of course, for the last few games. As they loft it into the edge of the box, Lewis Potter challenges Konsa for the bouncing ball, and now Moussa Diaby will bring it away down this near side for Villa. 4.5 minutes remaining in this opening 45. 0-0 at the G-Tech Community Stadium. Full house, as you'd expect here. At the moment, not quite the raucous home atmosphere that we often feel at this ground when Brentford are in a really good place, but there's enough at the moment as Kamara is clipped by Whistler on the edge of the penalty area as Villa continue to take some risks on the edge of their own box.
Yeah, Whistler did well closing down Kamara initially. Do you know what? I think he's got a gamble there, because if he just sticks out a leg and gets the fortuitous ricochet, you're in on goal. And I think exactly what played out there, just gambled, put his left leg out, unfortunately just caught a little bit of the Villa player.
Silky skills from Ethan Pinnock drew the applause of the crowd, but they have turned the ball over, Brentford, and it's on this near side with Villa again, and Cash. Back in field it goes to Konsa. Now John McGinn playing more centrally today in the absence of Tielemans and Douglas Luiz through injury and suspension respectively. Back it goes to Konsa again, and Villa, as we've seen many times, about halfway inside the Brentford half, having to knock it sideways through their defenders. Goes into Kamara, edge of the penalty area, away from one challenge. The cross from Ramsey doesn't reach Moreno, cleared by Zanka in the penalty area for Brentford. Still they haven't quite got it away. Norgard battling away with Kamara and retrieved by Moreno for Villa. Pau Torres again. Now McGinn, 25 yards out, a bit further to the left-hand side, looking for Moreno, but under hit the pass, and Moreno clips Roersleff, and Brentford again can count that as a successfully dealt with phase of play. Free kick to them.
Yeah, John McGinn, I think, feels that Moreno should have been a little sharper to the ball there. It was slightly undercooked maybe, and as I said a few times already in the commentary, Roersleff is a really good competitor. He's sharp, he's tenacious, he'll fly into every challenge, and he's just a little bit brighter there than Moreno.
Making his 100th Brentford appearance today, Mads Roersleff, one of their versatile players, can fill a number of roles, as that's cleared long by the Dutch goalkeeper Mark Flecken. Down the field, won by Whistler, looking for the layoff to Lewis Potter, but now it's Godos feeding Janelt down the left-hand side for Brentford, 25 yards out, in it comes to the edge of the penalty area from the left, headed cleared by the gloved Carlos, and back to Emi Martinez in green, who clears it away right-footed. Ben Mee wins the first header, and Diaby picks it up off Godos, and Villa have it in their right back position, and then Godos unnecessarily gives away a free kick there by clipping the heels of Konsa. Does allow him to get back into position though down this right side as Villa switch the play over to the left. 2 minutes remaining in the half on 5 Live Sports Extra. Brentford 0, Aston Villa 0. McGinn out to this near right side, and Konsa. McGinn got caught there by Whistler after the ball had gone, but he's limping back to his feet. A handshake of apology from Whistler as play continues. Diaby down this near right hand side. Now Boubacar Kamara, the French international, knocks it square to McGinn once again as they move it out to the left hand side via Torres to his compatriot Alex Moreno. Moreno level with the edge of the Brentford penalty area. Infield it comes, and back to Torres once again, who is such a good ball carrier. He's carried the ball further in the Premier League than anybody else this season. Pau Torres, 4 kilometres is the total of his carries this season from centre half, and he's carrying it across the field again. Godos though anticipated it, nicked it in ahead of Diaby, and now Godos trying to exploit some space, and Diaby gives away a free kick on the halfway line and is surfing the very fine line of a yellow card there, but he gets away with it. They take a quick free kick, and now Whistler for Brentford onto his right foot, and the shot was going wide I think, but it hits Pau Torres and goes behind for a corner on the left to Brentford.
Really good play, quick thinking from the free kick from Norgard, such a clever player, and then a brilliant one-on-one situation for Whistler. Would have fancied that, came in field, I think the right-footed shot was going to miss the target, but Torres, not to know, gets an important block in.
Brentford quickly forgot the appeals for a yellow card on the halfway line for Diaby in halting the attack moments earlier. And across comes Damsgaard on this near side, Godos on this near side to take the corner, with Damsgaard in close proximity is the short option. They've also got Jan out along the byline if they want to use that option, but in the end both short contenders are sent away by Saman Godos. In towards the 6-yard line, runs loose, Lewis Potter stabs it through a crowd and finds the back of the net. It's his first Premier League goal, and Brentford had been building, and finally when the opportunity came, Lewis Potter through a crowd has broken the deadlock. Brentford 1, Aston Villa 0.
Well, they win the first header, Aston Villa, but there's no one in the vicinity of Keane Lewis Potter. I think it's Moreno who's picking them up initially. Yeah, just doesn't react, and I tell you what, he tidies it up so quickly. It's beautiful feet from Lewis Potter. The anticipation to get in front of the Villa man is superb. Then the take, excellent, perfect to stab it goalwards with his right foot. It finds the bottom left-hand corner. It's a brilliant striker's finish from Keane Lewis Potter, who needed that goal, and hopefully that will give him the confidence to go on now. Brilliantly taken.
It's the instinctive, just the ball had hardly even just hit the ground, and bang, on the half volley he was onto it.
You could have a go at the defending, and the Aston Villa players won't be happy, the manager won't be happy with Moreno's part in that goal, but I tell you what, the anticipation, the touch, the recognition that you've got to get it away quickly, it's all there. Sometimes, let's applaud the attacking player, and it was first class from Lewis Potter there.
Well, Keane Lewis Potter on target for the first time in a Brentford shirt in the Premier League, as you said, Sam, earlier, and sort of building his career in little building blocks, needing to kick on, and he scored a big goal here. Brentford on a poor run of form against one of the country's informed teams, and now Lewis Potter is away again, but out comes Martinez, who's a long way out of his goal on the left-hand side, and Lewis Potter pushes him over. And we know that Martinez doesn't often like to let things drop without too much drama. He rolls over a couple of times, draws the ire of the fans, and Villa have a free kick.
Do you know what though, Chris? I feel like Thomas Frank's been really good with Keane Lewis Potter. He spoke about him in glowing terms really in the summer when they were going to be missing Ivan Toney, and obviously there's been more problems further down the line this season, but he's always spoke about him being a big part of the plans. Him and Kevin Schade, they were both kind of unproven, weren't they, in the Premier League?
Oh, there's a chance again. Villa have given it away, and here's Wissa in space for Brentford. Offside. Up goes the flag. He thought it was too good to be true. Brentford there, he was in so much space. He found the bottom corner, but the flag was up.
Yeah, he looked a good few yards offside. We'll get a better example now. Seeing it on the monitor, yeah, he's a good 5 yards offside, isn't he? Dispatched it beautifully. And what that would have done for his confidence as well, what it would have done for Brentford having both strikers on the score sheet in this first half. But yeah, I just think Thomas Frank was clever the way he's dealt with the Ivan Toney situation this season, and given the other players the confidence and the backing, not going really back into the market to strengthen that department. So yeah, some reward for him as well today.
Around 30 seconds left of the added 3 minutes at the end of this first half at the GTEC Community Stadium. Brentford leading by a goal to nil, and they're looking for Lewis Potter, who's on the crest of a wave. He's trying to challenge for the bouncing ball. He leaves it in the end to Wissa, just outside the penalty area. Ruslev on the right-hand side was seen by Moreno on the edge of the penalty area for Villa as he threatened to sneak it unnoticed, but Godos is hungry, wins it back in the centre of the midfield. Then it runs away from him, and Villa weave their way out of trouble. Lewis Potter was snapping back and forces McGinn into turning the ball over, and that's what the home fans are very enthused to see. Lewis Potter has been given a huge boost by that goal, even in a couple of minutes on the field since.
He has, and that was another really good chance for Brentford. Wissa had the ball in a great position. There was a pass to the right and he just undercooked it, and I think when he gets frantic like that and there's a few tackles going in, just keeping your composure there in Brentford, I'm sure would have been in for the second.
They've lost it meanwhile in the final seconds of the half, and here's Jacob Ramsey for Villa, straight towards the middle of the penalty area, and a good save by Flecken as the left-footed shot from the D by Jacob Ramsey was on target. Flecken took off to his left, palmed it away with two hands, and that is the last touch of the half, and an important one. No time for the corner, They go off at the break. Brentford leading Aston Villa by 1-0. It's been a fascinating opening 45 minutes, Sam, tactically.
Yeah, I was poised to say it's been a really entertaining 0-0. We got better than that. It's a really entertaining 1-0. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been really open. I think it's two teams that have approached this with the intention of winning it, and I know that sounds quite simplistic and quite obvious, but you don't always get that in the Premier League, and Brentford are so damaged by the injuries and suspensions. It's been a difficult period for them, and a different type of performance where they've had to give the opponent the respect that they're going to have a lot of the ball and play very much on the counter-attack, slightly more direct. Maybe the Brentford of old when they initially came up to the Premier League. They've done it well, they've caused problems. Aston Villa have had their moments as well. It's been a really good 45 minutes of football.
That's the voice of Sam Parkin, the former Chelsea and Luton striker, with us on 5 Live Sports Extra. Keane Lewis-Potter's goal has Brentford a goal to the good against Aston Villa at half-time. West Ham leading Wolves 2-0 at the London Stadium, and 0-0 at the break between Arsenal and Brighton. We'll be back on Sports Extra for full second-half commentary from here at the G-Tech Community Stadium. But right now, for updates on the rest of the day's games, we hand you to our colleagues over at 5 Live.
Arsenal 0, Brighton 0.
Clinton Morrison, I know it is a well-worn discussion around, perhaps Arsenal could do with someone really clinical in front of goal, but just looking at the half-time stats on the BBC Sport website, it's 0-0. The shot count, Arsenal 15, Brighton 0, and only 3 of those have been on target.
Well, we know, we've been talking about it. We know they need an out-and-out number 9, because Jesus, I like him. I think he's a really good striker. But sometimes, Crossy, he wants to drop too deep and he wants to link the player. I think he's exceptional. But they need a striker in and around that 6-yard box, because they dominate possession. Just stay in the 6-yard box and you'll score goals. But you're right, have to hit the target more.
Clinton, Ali, thank you very much indeed. So it's Arsenal 0, Brighton 0 at half-time in the Premier League, and half-time Brentford 1, Aston Villa 0. Whistle hasn't gone yet at the London Stadium, but it is West Ham 2, Wolves 0. Mohamed Kudus with both goals. In the Women's Super League, Manchester United lost 2-1 at home to Liverpool. That's full-time. Everton 1, Manchester City 4 is a later score. Half-time Bristol City 0, Chelsea 2. At 3 o'clock, Leicester face West Ham, and at 6:45, Aston Villa versus Brighton. We have had the half-time whistle now at the London Stadium. Lee Blakeman.
West Ham 2, Wolves 0. Kudus with both goals. Paquetá with both assists. The first came from a Wolves corner. Ball found Kudus on the right, midway inside the half, cutting in on his left foot, produced a great strike to beat Dan Bentley low to his left. Kudus made it 10 minutes later. Great ball from Paquetá again to pick him out. He rolled it past Bentley this time with his right foot. End of the half, Bowen hit the post in stoppage time, came back off the inside of the post. Wolves have gone close a couple of times with Cunha, but Fabianski has been solid, and West Ham fully deserved their 2-0 lead at half-time.
Already to stay in the Championship, finished West Brom 1, Stoke City 1. West Brom moved back into the top 6. We will take you to Hampden Park shortly ahead of the Scottish League Cup final, Rangers versus Aberdeen, which is underway in 8 minutes' time. We will do that and talk rugby union after the latest news on 5 Live with Stuart Clarkson.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Israeli officials say the Kerem Shalom border crossing into Gaza is allowing aid lorries to pass through for the first time since the attacks by Hamas on the 7th of October. There previously only been limited deliveries through the Rafah border crossing from Egypt. It's hoped 200 aid trucks a day will now be able to access Gaza. The Foreign Secretary Lord Cameron has said there's an urgent need for a sustainable ceasefire in Gaza. He made the comments in a joint article for the Sunday Times with his German counterpart. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has strongly reiterated his opposition to a pause in fighting. The former Conservative peer Baroness Mohn has apologised for denying for 3 years that she was involved in a company which won a government contract to supply PPE during the pandemic. Baroness Mohn and her husband Doug Barrowman are being investigated by the National Crime Agency. They've described the government's handling of PPE as shambolic. And Network Rail's managing director for the Wales and Western region has resigned just days after passengers on the Great Western Line out of London was left stuck for hours in the dark because of problems with overhead power cables. Michelle Hanforth had been in the role for 3.5 years.
On BBC iPlayer.
Who are you?
Health and Safety, Gin and Tonic Division.
What's your name? Ruby Sunday.
Hold on tight.
There are creatures.
Oh, yeah? Goblins.
They're
goblins.
Okay.
Merry Christmas.
I can't believe a single thing that's happening.
Time travelers are great. Like the best. Like, wow.
Who are you?
I'm the Doctor.
Doctor Who. Christmas Day on BBC iPlayer.
This is 5 Live Sport with Steve Crossman.
On 5 Live. Listen on BBC Sounds.
And we've got second half commentary on the way from the Emirates. It's Arsenal 0, Brighton 0. 3 games in Rugby's Champions Cup this afternoon. They all feature English clubs. Just moving into the final seconds right now. It's Exeter Chiefs 32, Munster 24. So Exeter are going to win that. Stade Francais against Leicester Tigers is at 5:30. 3:15 at the Twickenham Stoop. Harlequins versus Toulouse. Rugby Union correspondent Chris Jones is there.
Afternoon, Steve. What another great weekend of Champions Cup. Just gone full time at Exeter, 32-24. So Exeter, like Bath and Northampton, an English club that are 2 wins from 2. Can Harlequins do that this afternoon? What a 7 days it's been for Quins and their supporters. Last Sunday, the magnificent La Défense Arena, a famous win at Racing 92. Now the grand old club Toulouse are in town. 5 times European champions, world-class players everywhere Toulouse. Whether the magnificent French hooker Pieter Mavaca, the halfbacks Antoine Dupont, the great player, and Thomas Ramos. And at full black, Blair Kinghorn, the Scottish international, only joined Toulouse from Edinburgh in the middle of last week. Hit the ground running a few days after touching down with 2 tries against Cardiff. He joined us on the Rugby Union Weekly podcast, and he said, unsurprisingly, that silverware is on his mind since moving to France.
I've obviously wanted to win stuff in my career, and I've not been able to do that so far. So I think being able to come to such a great club with such great players, having the ability to go and win trophies is something that's definitely at the front of my mind. Developing as a player as well, like I spent my entire career in Scotland and in Edinburgh, so there was parts of me that kind of wanted to get out of my comfort zone a little bit, experience something new. Sometimes you can get a bit comfy and you maybe don't work as hard. Not saying that I didn't work hard back at Edinburgh, but it's certainly moving to a new club where nobody knows, you don't have any sort of reputation to try and prove yourself again and develop as a player and take the next stride in my career. Something it's exciting and it's nerve-wracking. It's the first time I've been away from home. First time I've been the new kid at a club. So it's a good challenge for me, I reckon.
Was it a case of you said you maybe wanted a change, but people could force a change and go to a club that doesn't feel right? I mean, Toulouse, we were having a chat on the pod last week. It's the greatest club in the world, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if I wasn't going to move for the sake of moving, it had to be with the right club, and then this has fallen into my lap. So don't quite believe that I'm fully here yet. It was strange running out of the weekend in front of a packed stadium. It's honestly insane out here. Like, the crowd get right behind you. They do rugby properly here. And
the style Toulouse play, that's also got to be something that for you as a player loves to get his hands on the ball, can play 10, play 15, play wing. That's got to be another part of it that just makes you so excited for what this season can bring.
Playing behind a great pack, and you can have front foot ball. It's what all backs want, especially backs who like to get their hands on the ball and kind of run into space. So it's much easier to do on front foot ball. See the amount of offloads that happen in a game. So yeah, the big lads deliver the momentum, and then there's usually quite a lot of space for us.
Blair Kinghorn there on the Rugby Union Weekly, which you can find right now on BBC Sounds. So, Chris, having bigged up Toulouse so much, how do Quins go about beating them?
Yeah, really good question. Do a bit what they did against Racing 92, perhaps play quickly but ultimately play accurately, take their chances, shore up the set piece. Joe Marler, interestingly, is on the bench today with Finn Baxter starting a loose head. Danny Kerr of the Rugby Union Weekly fame is also on the bench. So Quins leaving a little bit in reserve. But if they are give possession up and they kick poorly against a team like Toulouse with Kinghorn, with Ramos, and with the greatest player in the world, Antoine Dupont, then they could be quickly embarrassed. But fascinating game. We've got one more later today with Stade against Leicester, Exeter, Munster, another thriller. The Champions Cup, the gift that keeps on giving just before Christmas.
Absolutely, Chris. Thank you very much indeed. And in the Challenge Cup, 2 full times, Cheetahs 32, Sharks 29 and Montpellier 38, Ospreys 5. Liverpool beat Manchester United for the first time in the WSL earlier today. 2-1 win for them at Lee Sports Village. The player of the match and goal scorer Taylor Hines has been speaking to Sarah Mulcairns.
Big smile on your face, Taylor. How good does that victory over Manchester United feel?
Yeah, it feels amazing. I think this type of game is like another derby for us, so we went in this all guns blazing, and as you can see how happy we are, how happy our fans are, and that means everything to us.
And I know last time out last year it was 6-0, it was totally different emotions. Does that add to the feelings now?
Yeah, definitely. I think we've put that game way past us. We've got a new season, new team, new players, and you can see that we've added so much value to this team as well. So yeah, that game's way behind us, and yeah, I think that's why today feels even better.
And a lovely goal for you. Talk us through it.
Yeah, well, normally I'm not in the box, but normally I'm on the edge. But today I was in the box, and I said I'm going to score today, and yeah, that's what happened. And yeah, I'm pleased, and I'm pleased with the team's performance as well.
Taylor Hines with Sarah Mulkerrins. You can catch up on all the weekend's WSL action tonight on the Women's Football Show. That's 11:45 on BBC One. Teams out at Hampden Park for the first silverware of the season. It's the Scottish League Cup final. Aberdeen and Rangers. Gavin Wallace.
And Hampden, Steve, is absolutely bouncing. Like you say, the first silverware of the year up for grabs today. Rangers making 3 changes to the team that won in Spain midweek. Cantwell, Sterling and Ballingen all coming in, and Aberdeen only have 3 that start from their win over Eintracht Frankfurt. Majowski's in, Shinnie's in, and Johnny Hayes all start for Barry Robson's men. We're in for a cracker today.
Thank you, Gavin. About 3 minutes to go until second half commentary, and Arsenal versus Brighton gives us time to go to Anfield for the first time today. Liverpool versus Manchester United in full coming your way at 4:30 this afternoon with Dion Dublin and correspondent John Murray. Good afternoon, John.
Yes, good afternoon, Steve. I'm looking across to my left to watch people taking their seats in the upper tier of the Anfield Road end for the first time for a Premier League match. They did have a test event during the course of the week, but that means that we'll have an attendance inside Anfield today of over 57,000. So the top tier won't be entirely full. In actual fact, you'll see it if you watch the pictures on the television later. The first 14 rows of the top tier will be empty. But other than that, obviously that pushes the attendance up to be what will be the biggest attendance inside Anfield for half a century.
And if you were going to pick a game to do it, this obviously would be the one.
Yes, I suspect it wasn't a coincidence that they were keen to meet the deadline for this one. And yes, Liverpool in such good form in terms of their results at home, having won every match they've played here at Anfield this season. And of course, as has been very, very well documented, the last 4 matches against Manchester United have included 7-0, 5-0 and 4-0 wins for Liverpool. So strong favourites, very strong favourites, particularly with Manchester United missing quite a number of players. No Bruno Fernandes, he's suspended, no Harry Maguire at the back, and it'll be very interesting to see what Manchester United do in their midfield. I don't think they've got too many options.
As one would expect, Erik ten Hag's response to all the questions about 7-0 last season has been, we can't play last season's game, we've got to play this season's game. But unfortunately, the reality is, last season they just won the League Cup, they just knocked Barcelona out of Europe. They arrive in far worse shape, and Liverpool seem to be in much better shape.
They do, and I think, though, that there is a little additional pressure on Liverpool coming into this match because of Manchester City's stumbles over the course of recent times, and obviously what happened to them yesterday. So, as has been much talked about from virtually the point that Crystal Palace equaliser went in yesterday, the fact that if Liverpool can win their 3 matches that are coming up in the Premier League, so this one, home to Arsenal next Saturday, which is also a 5 live commentary match, and then Boxing Day away at Burnley. Manchester City do not play in the Premier League until they get back from Saudi Arabia, and so the pressure is there because Liverpool know, and all connected with them, they have the chance to open up a 12-point lead over the champions.
Pressure, but also maybe a feeling that they haven't peaked yet, Liverpool.
Very much so, yeah. There's quite a feeling among Liverpool supporters that while the results have been what they are, and they've only lost once in the Premier League this season, the controversial defeat at Tottenham, and as I say, winning every match and scoring at least 2 goals in every match at Anfield this season, but this feeling persists that we still haven't really seen them at their best this season. So there have been very good spells within games, but not absolutely the finished product yet. Let's put it that way.
Thank you, John. Correspondent John Murray, who is at Anfield, Liverpool versus Manchester United. Really looking forward to that. 4:30 full commentary with John and Dion Dublin. These, though, are the sounds of the Emirates Arsenal versus Brighton in the Premier League. Remember, on 5 Sports Extra, you can listen to Brentford versus Aston Villa, the second half.
And the sounds here at the GTEC Community Stadium as we prepare for second half commentary of Brentford against Aston Villa here in West London, where Brentford hold a 1-0 lead at half-time. A goal right on the stroke of the interval. A first Premier League goal for Keane Lewis Potter. A really sharp finish as a corner broke down to him in the penalty area. Villa have had some threats on goal, but really haven't particularly stretched Mark Fleck, and one good save right at the end of the half from the Brentford goalkeeper. Just keeping an eye down on the touchline here to see if any second half changes, but doesn't seem to be the case. So Brentford buoyed by the end of their first half performance, looking to arrest that run of 4 defeats in the last 5 Premier League games. Alongside myself, Chris Temple, the former Chelsea and Luton striker, Sam Parkin. I guess half-time, the cliched half-time came at a bad time for Brentford. They were really on the up at the end of that first half.
They were, and Aston Villa looked a little rattled. They've given the ball away. We talk about how nice their football is from the back, building through the thirds. That polish hasn't really been there in the first half, and I think a lot of that down to the willingness of the front two at Brentford. Damsgaard as well, I've enjoyed his endeavour. I think pressurising the Villa players has been problematic for them when they've tried to build, and just haven't created that one big chance. For all their possession, that hasn't really materialised in the first half. So far so good from a Brentford perspective.
Brentford in their red and white striped shirts, black shorts and black socks. Villa in their away colours. We're calling it a sort of bluey grey away kit today. There's a heavy challenge has gone in on McGinn there inside the Brentford half of the field, which referee David Coote has stopped the game for. It was Norgard with the challenge. And he's going to be shown a card here by the referee David Coote. It's a yellow card for Norgard. It just catches McGinn about a third of the way up his calf, I think it was in the end. The contact was made as the Scotsman just got more the ankle, wasn't it, actually, the Achilles, when you look at it again on that replay, Sam?
Yeah, it's sore for John McGinn. It's going to be checked, I would imagine. Yeah, we can see that it's being checked now. Again, no malice, just a bit clumsy from Norgard. You know, they do get given on occasions, don't they? But this would be very, very harsh if this was a red.
Yeah, the groans you can hear is because the VAR graphic has flashed up on the big screen here saying checking possible red card, serious foul play. But I think we can see from David Coote's emotion, which is to walk away from the incident, that there'll be no further punishment for Christian Norgard other than the yellow card, as that confirmation is flashed up on the scoreboard. So I'll give you the teams very shortly. You're with 5 Live Sports Extra at the G-Tech Community Stadium. Brentford leading Villa by 1-0, but Villa had this free kick delivered by McGinn from left of centre, trying to land it on the penalty spot, and in the end it's put behind. I think Pinnock got the final touch, and it will be a corner to Brentford, will it? Both teams are claiming a handball or a flag or something. Brentford have got their arms stretched out towards the assistant referee on the far side, but it will only be a Villa corner, so Brentford's protests fall on deaf ears, and McGinn jogs over from this near side where he just took the free kick to the far corner as Villa kick from right to left, away from the end where their own supporters are housed in the corner, away to our right. We know Villa's set-piece threat from Austin McPhee, their set-piece coach, who watches on from down in the technical area just in front of us. Carlos, Torres, Conce are all lurking around the penalty spot. It's a deep one round the back. Carlos was coming on. Good stretch by Flecken, the goalkeeper. We've got a firm fist on it out towards the left-hand side, but Carlos has retrieved it. Back into the box it comes, headed away by Ben Mee, bouncing around on the edge of the penalty area. Still Aston Villa carrying a threat at the moment. Diego Carlos. And then he's challenged by Godos, and Lewis Potter tries to bring it away. Godos for a second attempt, and eventually it runs out of play off Damsgaard. Neither side could quite get their foot on it down this near side. But it was an enterprising corner from McGinn, which just had the goalkeeper Flecken stretching from that earlier set piece.
Yeah, it was flighted nicely towards the far post where they were well stopped, obviously trying to overload that area. And as so often, an Aston Villa centre-half, Carlos on this occasion, so comfortable in possession over on the left-hand side, just flighting another delivery in which Brentford were able to clear. But yeah, been interesting with their balls so far, especially the corners, opting to play a lot short. Aston Villa, loads of variation, often John McGinn involved. That one in the first half where he was able to roll Norgard on the byline, and they're looking threatening.
John McGinn trying to take a quick free kick for Villa inside the Brentford half there, but the referee pulling him back. It was taken from the wrong position. David Coote is the referee, all in black. I can't remember if I mentioned him, so I'll give him a second name check. Norgard, the first card of the game, shown by the referee early in the second half. We'll give you the teams very shortly, but the game moves at such a pace that it's hard to get the moment to give you the teams, but I will do as Boubacar Kamara runs into Damsgaard, and Villa with Ramsey, and now Kamara in space again in the halfway inside the Brentford half. Over to the right hand side, here's Conce joining in with a protective bandage on his right wrist. Now Diaby, who had a relatively quiet first half for Villa, out to the right hand side, and Matty Cash. The Brentford have numbers back defending, as we've seen so many times in that defensive shape instilled by Thomas Frank, and there's a unnecessarily wasted pass by Boubacar Kamara out to the far side. I'll just give you those teams while we got the opportunity then. Brentford have Flecken in goal. They've been playing a back three of Zanka, Pinnock and Mee, with Rutzleffer on the right wing back position, Godos on the left, then centrally Janelt to the left of centre, Norgard and Damsgaard, and then Lewis Potter supporting Wissa the Villa team. Martinez is the goalkeeper. The back four, Konsa, Diego Carlos, Torres and Moreno. Then Cash, McGinn, Kamara and Ramsey, with Diaby supporting Watkins. Among the substitutes for Villa, Leon Bailey is fit enough for the bench today. Yuri Tielemans hasn't made the squad through injury, missed midweek in Europe as well. And of course Douglas Luiz and Luca Digne are both suspended for Villa for this game for reaching 5 yellow cards. Up to the halfway line it goes. Watkins holds it up, runs out of play off the toe of Ethan Pinnock, and it's a throw into Villa just over the halfway line. Just noticed there, Sam, they watered the pitch pretty vigorously pre-match and at half-time. The ball was almost holding up in the spray there, the amount of water they piled onto the pitch at half-time here at the G-Tech Community Stadium. As Kamara goes back inside his own half.
Lovely surface. Yeah, it's immaculate this stage of the season. It's moving okay, despite the deluge they put on there at half-time. But yeah, certainly Martinez's pass to his left there just held up to a degree.
And our kit got soaked pre-match because the wind was blowing in the wrong direction when the sprinklers were on, so I was having to cover all our electrical equipment with my scarf pre-match because we were getting drenched by the sprinklers. As Pau Torres turns away with confidence, left side of his own penalty area, and then Wissa dispossessed him for a moment. Torres has stayed down. It's gone back to the keeper Martinez. In fact, both players have stayed down. I don't know if Torres has kicked the foot there of Wissa maybe as he came in with a challenge, and both players just feeling the effects of that one as we're about to see a replay. Yeah, Pau Torres has kicked Wissa's standing foot, I think, hasn't he?
Yeah, I don't think it was a foul. I think Wissa gets a toe on the ball. He almost kicks the floor as well. And for someone who has been immense this year, Pau Torres' passing has not quite been on point so far today. I mean, in essence, he was the kind of architect of that brilliant goal against Arsenal with his pass into Ollie Watkins that kind of beat the Arsenal press, and that's been a feature of his season and Aston Villa's season. But so far today he's not been able to execute his ones in the final third when he's broke forward, and playing out he's given Brentford a chance on a few occasions. So yeah, that's been a little bit catching amongst the Aston Villa players.
Both players up on their feet as the game restarts, and Martinez fires one long down the field, but that distribution was poor from his high standards. It has run loose for Diaby for Aston Villa though, over on that far right side, with Brentford leading by 1-0, 7 minutes into the second half here on 5 Live Sports Extra, with commentary of Arsenal against Brighton right over on 5 Live right now, and Liverpool Manchester United with John Murray and Dion Dublin to come on 5 Live. Commentary in the WSL of Villa Brighton later on here on Sports Extra from 6:30. Aston Villa men's team have it on the left hand side with Alex Moreno. Thinks about a cross, checks back, rolls one into the left side of the 6-yard box. Watkins sets it for Kamara on the edge of the penalty area. Across the D for Konsa. Now Diaby, they've worked it from the left side to the right side. But Brentford again well organised, no way through. McGinn just outside the penalty area. Out to the right-hand side it goes. Diaby thought about a cross, goes back to Konsa. Then McGinn again, who just stumbled slightly as Brentford hassled and harried him. That Norgard-McGinn contest between the two captains continues to be a fascinating tigerish battle. They roll it to the left, and Pau Torres now 25 yards out into the feet of Watkins. Now Ramsey looking for Watkins again, but there were 3 around Ollie Watkins. Damsgaard tries to dribble out of defence, ran into trouble, hooked away by Pinnock. This is all very scrappy around the edge of the Brentford penalty area. Now Konsa back out to the right hand side to Diaby again, looking to get it onto his left hand side. He does now, but rolls it back to Kamara, and now it's Pau Torres 30 yards out, goes for the long diagonal out towards Diaby. They just sucked Brentford over and then found Diaby in space, but he's right out on the touchline, so Brentford had time to shuffle across and close down that space. Diaby once again. Brentford so well positioned and drilled here that Villa are just going from side to side. Now Kamara on the left hand side, Moreno takes it down, joining in from left back. Damsgaard hammers it away. Wissa's lost it to Kamara, edge of the penalty area. Now McGinn and Norgard coming together again. The Scotsman comes out ahead of it, got away from the challenge from Damsgaard. It felt like McGinn went down a little bit easily there, which is what the Brentford fans around us are standing up complaining about, and eventually it goes out of play, Sam.
Yeah, he's preempting the contact, the challenge coming in there, John McGinn. It wasn't forthcoming, so he ended up looking a little bit foolish, much to the ire of the Brentford fans away to our left.
The ball is with Torres once again here. Patience from Brentford, who of course can now sit back in that defensive shape with a 1-0 lead to protect, and it's Norgard who steps in to pinch it away, then given away by Damsgaard, frustrating, and Villa will come back again. Down this left side as Diaby switches flanks and comes over to this near side now. Just wonder whether Unai Emery is going to be thinking about Leon Bailey sometime soon. He's been in such great form. He's not 100% fit. according to Emery in his pre-match comments. But if he's anywhere near fit, if he's fit enough to be on the bench, you think they might look at introducing him pretty soon. We'll wait and see. I think Brentford are planning a sub very shortly. Thomas Frank is delivering some instructions pretty closely to one of his substitutes down in front of us, as Villa from the right-hand side deliver a cross by Cash, but headed away by Ben Mee, and up to the halfway line where Villa settle for a throw-in. No way through at the minute for the visitors.
No, interestingly, that Diaby's just kind of last couple of minutes has gone and positioned himself over on the right-hand side. Cash has kind of inverted and come in field. So just trying to move Brentford around. He's got almost a free role in this Aston Villa side, Diaby, this afternoon. But he's not had a good effect. You said it at the start of the second half. So he's the one that's just asking a few questions of Brentford's back line.
1-0 Brentford lead still through Keane Lewis Potter just before half-time. Only his second Brentford goal. His only other one was away at Colchester in the League Cup last season. But breaking the deadlock here against Aston Villa, who had a chance to go maybe temporarily top of the table with 2 points behind Liverpool, who play Manchester United at 4:30. Of course, that would also depend on the Arsenal-Brighton game, which is ongoing right now over on 5 Live across London at the Emirates. Pau Torres hammers one across the field, left to right, looking for Cash, who takes it down beautifully. A difficult ball to gather over his shoulder. Still they have it, Aston Villa. Konsa, 25 yards out. Here's Diaby again. He's gone back out to that right-hand side. Diego Carlos, the deepest of the Villa outfield players, is 30 yards from the Brentford goal. Fires it in. Ramsey can't direct his header, and it's cleared by Brentford out of the penalty area. And now maybe a chance to break. They're looking to put Whistler away. Did he just about manage to hold this run? It's going to run out of play anyway, so it's irrelevant, and it's out for a throw into Villa in their own half.
Yeah, I think he did. I think he was onside. Norgard just couldn't execute the pass. Just got too much angle on it, really, and it went out of play over on the left-hand side. Just thinking as well, Chris, about the Brentford tactical setup, and you think at the moment their best chance of a goal is probably still through Neil Mopai in the squad. To leave him out and go with these two, that shows really clever management, team selection, and so far they've executed it really well. And I know it's not been a golden year for Mopai, anything but. He's been, struggling for the goals, but he's got a couple recently. So yeah, bold call to leave him out, and they don't probably have the profile of player to replace these two like for like on the substitutes bench, so that'll be interesting to see what Thomas Frank does in the latter stages when those two are tiring.
Ball in the Villa half at the moment. Kamara's won a free kick over on that far side, fell down on the touchline. I can tell you Arsenal have taken the lead against Brighton at the Emirates early in the second half. Gabriel Jesus with that goal. So Arsenal 1, Brighton 0. Arsenal starting the day 1 point ahead of Villa. They had 36 to Villa's 35, but Arsenal in the live table going to the top as it stands, leading by 1-0. West Ham still 2 up on Wolves, and here it's Brentford leading by 1-0 on 5 Live Sports Extra. Under the lights at the GTEC Community Stadium as the daylight starts to fade above us, even though it is only just after 3:15 in the afternoon here. Villa have spent a large chunk of this second half, the early minutes of it, with the ball going sideways, about halfway inside the Brentford half of the field. They've got it out on the right-hand side as the attendance is confirmed at 17,034 here inside the GTEC Community Stadium. Diego Carlos sees a pass for Ollie Watkins, fired it in, but Brentford stood firm. Loose ball picked up by Kamara into the penalty area. Ramsey left to the 6-yard box. His ball across the box, though, is picked up by Norgard for Brentford and cleared up to halfway. And then Lewis Potter has grabbed the shirt of Pau Torres and a free kick just over the halfway line. Pau Torres thought about the imaginary yellow card and then realised what you get for showing one of those these days.
Yeah, they're probing Villa, but they're not going anywhere, are they? And I think Brentford, they're really happy for the two centre-halves. Torres has got it now.
Ball in towards the edge of the penalty area. Picked up on the run by Diaby, who made a nice diagonal run into the penalty area. Gets to the byline. His cross is deflected behind by the challenge of Zanka, and it will be a corner to the left to Villa.
Yeah, I was going to say the two outside centre-halves, when they're building Villa in that back three, Konsa on the right-hand side, Pau Torres on the left, they're kind of happy for them to encroach on their territory, tiptoeing forward. They're just allowing that and taking their shape behind, and I don't think they're going to be able to penetrate with balls into the box from there.
Corner to Villa from the left-hand side wasn't the best, but it was a miscue by Lewis Potter, and I think they'll get another chance to take a better corner. They will. David Coote points to the left. Jacob Ramsey, not his best corner, but Lewis Potter nearly turned it into a good one inadvertently at the near post.
Yeah, in essence, they've got Ollie Watkins, as their focal point, the one that's going to be making runs and they can hit from crosses, up against three centre-halves.
And it comes again from Ramsey. This one's deeper towards the back post and a powerful header on the run, and it's a painful one as well, I think, for Boubacar Kamara, who's stayed down. certainly committed to the header, didn't he? Ran onto it at pace. It was off target, and he clattered into a defender. And he's down and will need some attention here, the Frenchman.
Yeah, completely untracked. Wissa comes out and actually is really aggressive with his challenge. He's in the 6-yard box, and Kamara just kind of runs towards the penalty spot completely unopposed and attacks it really well, actually. He's unfortunate he doesn't score.
And it's unfortunate to get whacked as well. As you say, he was probably running from maybe 10 yards of space. Got some real momentum behind his run and his header, which was only a couple of yards wide of the left-hand post. But Wissa was brave in coming out to attack it. And that a juddering collision between the two of them. Brentford have dropped 14 points from winning positions, by the way, this season, which is something their fans will be well aware of. And Villa, of course, I've read a lot of things in the build-up to this game. Of course, we know about the home form, 15 wins in a row in all competitions as Kamara gets back to his feet, thankfully, away to our left. And people say Villa aren't quite as bad away from home as it's been made out, but it is only 3 wins in 12 away games in the Premier League, their last 12 away games. So those numbers don't stack up brilliantly for Unai Emery's side. And at the moment, just after an hour gone, they're trailing here to Brentford by 1-0. So Boubacar Kamara wanders over to this near side, still holding his sort of right ear, the lower part of the back of his head on the right hand side, and he will back on very shortly. No obvious movement at the moment down on the benches I can see from either team in terms of substitutes, a few exchanging bibs. We might be about to see Neil Maupay, actually. I think he's just getting some instructions down to our left as Villa have it inside their own half, and then they find Jacob Ramsey in the centre circle. There are runners outside him to the right, but Ramsey checks back into traffic. The Villa fans didn't much enjoy that move, and as Kamara rejoins the action into the edge of the penalty area, Watkins, he looked like he miscontrolled it, but it almost ran for him in the D, and his left-footed shot was blocked away by the mountainous Ethan Pinnock. Out to the left-hand side, Villa once again from right to left in their blue-grey away colours. A lot of possession as Wissa knocks McGinn over, who again I feel like was just lurking for that and going to ground a bit easily, not endearing himself to the home fans. Not that he'll be bothered too much about that. I think Villa give it away. Norgard to Wissa, and then he presents it back to Villa. And now they'll have to go back to their keeper. Pau Torres, in fact, probably doesn't like using that option too much, but he's under real pressure from Lewis Potter, and the goal scorer knocks it out for a Villa throw down in front of us. 1-0 Brentford. Sam Parkin.
Yeah, a little bit loose from Watkins, played in from Torres. Nice pace on the pass, easy one really for the centre forward to take in. He can't get hold of it, and the ball breaks for Brentford to counter attack. And again, Keane Lewis Potter, who I think will be tiring at this stage, having not played too much football. Great work ethic to close down Torres.
We're going to see John Duran come on, the Colombian for Villa, striking option in a moment as well, as Cash is stopped by Godos over on the far left hand side on the right corner of the penalty area. So changes coming for both teams here. We are going to see Leon Bailey for Villa as well. We're going to see Maupay for Brentford coming off the bench as an opportunity all of a sudden, and Lewis Potter's through again here, couldn't get it into his control. Ruslev coming in at the back post, recovering challenge by Moreno for Villa in the 6-yard box. 2 glimmers of opportunity there, and neither Lewis Potter or Ruslev could take them. Corner.
Yeah, it looked like Wissa was going to be the pass, and then Keane Lewis Potter just made such a savvy run from deep, a diagonal run, clearly onside. Moreno on the cover, deflected it almost perfectly for Ruslev, who was arriving. Thankfully for Aston Villa, Moreno makes a brilliant sliding challenge. It would have been an ugly one, but Brentford wouldn't have cared.
Brentford fans growing in belief here. They lead by 1-0. Had 2 opportunities there as both teams prepare their substitutes to come on. Bailey and Duran already stripped and ready for action. They'll certainly be the first 2 to enter the fray. Brentford play the corner short on this near right-hand side. It comes back to Damsgaard, who whips in. Whistle with a header. Magnificent save by Martinez. Down to his left-hand side. Still not clear for Villa. Whistle right-hand side. Lifts it back in, and Martinez is there to catch it on the 6-yard line.
Ball of the game, cross of the game from Damsgaard. It's absolutely superb. Whipped into the perfect position. I think it's just curling slightly away from the goal. Therefore, the header still has to be a special one. And Wissa just can't quite get probably the direction or the power on it. It's a nice height for Martinez down to his left to make the stop.
So here come these Villa changes. We're just seeing a replay there. Wissa stealing between the 2 defenders. Got a bit of power behind the header. As Matty Cash is coming off for Villa, he's going to be replaced by Leon Bailey. They're also taking off Diaby to be replaced by Duran. So I don't think either of those changes are massive surprises from a Villa point of view. So Leon Bailey is on, so they swapped a right back on the right hand side for an out and out right sided winger, and Duran is going to come on and looks like he's gone straight up to support Ollie Watkins, the Colombian who celebrated his 20th birthday this week. So all articles that describe him as a Colombian teenager are no more. John Duran, who has 4 goals this season, 2 in the Premier League. Brentford lead 1-0 here. Ruslev weaving his way past a couple of challenges, then brought to the ground by Diego Carlos. 25 yards out right of centre, and Brentford have a set piece, and their fans are enjoying these last few minutes.
Yeah, they're having a good spell, and there was an opportunity just to thread Wissa through, but Ruslev decided to come infield, slalom away from a couple of challenges, and actually did pretty well to draw the foul under huge pressure from Kamara coming across.
So, free kick for Brentford here, leading by a goal to nil. Those Brentford subs are still being briefed. Neil Mopé has got a flip chart in Thomas Frank's hand. He eventually takes off his red Brentford training top and the yellow bib he had on as well to reveal his number 7 Brentford shirt. We're also, for Brentford, going to see Frank Onyeka come on as well, who started the last game. He's stripped and ready for action too. So, a brace of changes by both teams. Brentford holding the advantage through Keane Lewis Potter's goal just before the break against Aston Villa. You're live with 5 Live Sports Extra. Villa have got a 3-man wall lined up here, a pace outside the penalty area. Brentford have attached their own 2-man wall on the edge of the Villa wall, as close as it's allowed, a yard or so away. And Godos and Ruslev, and then there's a challenge between Moreno and Wissa, where Wissa ends up on the ground, but referee David Coote had his eye on that and waves any appeals away, and now Moreno will travel up to the halfway line for Villa on this near side. And then Duran's first involvement for Villa is to give it away, the Colombian, on the halfway line as they try to build an attack, and Brentford have pinged it around nicely. And here's Damsgaard on the right hand side again, just outside the right corner of the box. It goes back to Norgard. He's got some space on the left to exploit if he wants to, but he checks back to Zanka on the halfway line. Infield to Norgard again, and then laid off by Janel. Underhit it slightly to Ruslev, but he was brave, and they'll get a corner here maybe as Moreno sticks out a foot, and Janel is happy to settle for the corner kick on this right hand side. 1-0 Brentford still.
Yeah, definitely wrestled back a little bit of control, Brentford. They probably had the best opportunity this second half as well through Wissa's header. So Aston Villa, 65 minutes in or so, still waiting for that kind of golden opportunity. Loads of possession, not enough punch, and probably reminiscent of that Nottingham Forest performance a month or so ago when they really didn't turn up on a Sunday. They'll be hoping that lightning's not going to strike twice here at Brentford today.
So here come the 2 changes for Brentford. The goal scorer Lewis Potter is going off, as is Damsgaard, and they're being replaced by Mopé and Onyeka. So 2 of the starters from the last game, they defeated Sheffield United last week, who were left out of the team today, are now onto the field with just over 20 minutes remaining. It's a day that Keane Lewis Potter won't forget. Both subs that are being taken off are being briefed by Thomas Frank, has his arms around both of them concurrently. But Keane Lewis Potter with his first Premier League goal, is it to be a decisive one? At the moment it's the only goal of the game. Villa defending a corner at the moment, away to our right, the end where their own fans are watching on from, and it's Saman Godos to take it. Lofts it into the 6-yard box. Mee was in there, not quite clear, nodded back in by Ruslev. Pinnock jumps, breaks loose to Onyeka, the substitute, who can't get on the end of it. Then Mee launched in with a challenge where he looked like he was off the ground, and the referee didn't like that on Leon Bailey. And Ben Mee didn't make a whole lot of contact with Bailey, I don't think, but the approach from Ben Mee was over-aggressive in the referee's eye. Yellow card.
Yeah, I thought it was a risk from Ben Mee. I thought it was rash, and I think it's the type of challenge that could possibly see him receive his marching orders. As you said, I don't think there's loads of contact there, Chris, and I think that's fortunate. Oh, I tell you what, he's going to be fortunate here. That was very, very rash.
Yeah, and Bailey, I mean, he's off the ground, isn't he, Mee? He has taken off the ground.
And Bailey does him a favour.
I was going to say, Bailey does him a favour. His studs are up as the VAR graphic again appears on the screen here. Now, for someone of Ben Mee's experience, Sam, that is, it seemed an unnecessary risk to take. Yes, he's got to be competitive, but he'll know as soon as he leaves the ground, he's potentially in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, 10 years ago, you get a rapturous round of applause for that. Let's get it right. We know that, but yeah. They've been giving us red cards now, and we just don't know. We don't know how that's going to be interpreted. It's rash, it's high, and if Leon Bailey flings himself up in the air, we're probably not having this discussion. So he's going to be fortunate to escape if it's only going to be a yellow.
Well, he might be lucky. If there's anything in his favour, it's a glancing contact off the shin pad, isn't it? Almost round the corner of his shin pad. Referee David Coote is being sent over to the monitor here by the VAR Craig Pawson. Without dripping into cliche, we know which way this normally goes.
Yeah.
Studs up on the shin pad of Leon Bailey. He was off the ground initially as well, Ben Mee. Brentford might have a problem here.
You're probably right. The only way this is going to remain as a yellow if they don't think there's a firm enough contact. I think that's what we're looking at here. I think we're probably not having this discussion again if Leon Bailey goes spinning into the afternoon sky. I think the red card would already have been brandished.
Well, Brentford and Villa are 2 of the 5 teams in the Premier League who haven't had a red card this season. David Coote is watching a few replays of this just down to our right on the pitch edge on the VAR monitor, having his dialogue with the VAR Craig Pawson, not too far away from here at Stockley Park at the Premier League VAR HQ. We've seen about 5 or 6 different replays. David Coote has made his decision and the yellow card has been cancelled. And this is going to be a different colour. David Coote's going to his top pocket and Ben Mee is sent off. Straight red card for Ben Mee. That will be 3 games out for him as well. So that's the Christmas period done for Ben Mee. Thomas Frank is furious, telling the Aston Villa coaching staff to get back in their technical area. And Thomas Frank is having to be taken away by a couple of members of his coaching staff. A couple of members of security staff about to come out of the tunnel there just to position themselves between these 2 sets of management. And a yellow card here for Thomas Frank from the referee David Coote as well. So, Sam, big changes in the game. It was a risk from Ben Mee the way he went into that challenge. He's been sent off just after Brentford have made 2 substitutions. They lead 1-0 and now we're set for a very interesting 20 minutes.
Yeah, it feels like such a blow this time of year as well, when there's so many games in quick succession, and Brentford are going to get a much needed rest in a few weeks' time as well, with not so many games to stack the programme. So bitterly disappointing for Thomas Frank, but I think Ben Mee has to show better composure, better understanding of the current rules there.
Here goes Maupay meanwhile at the other end. He's barged over in the box. There are huge appeals from the home fans, and in the end he's given a free kick for handball by Maupay as he fell on it as the challenge came in. Maupay, as a striker, just slowed down his run, I think, waiting for the contact to come from behind. It was Conser with a clumsy-looking challenge. Sam Parkins making facials. You're the striker, you'll be biased in this one.
No, 2 former teammates, isn't it? I'm sure these 2 probably played together here at Brentford. I think Maupay is just waiting, he's hoping for the contact. He gets a little shove or gets a bit of contact, inevitably because Conser's moving quickly and then he flings himself to the ground. I think that's a good call.
No penalty and no VAR involvement to any kind of extent this time as play continues. So 18 minutes to play here on 5 Live Sports Extra. Brentford leading Aston Villa by 1-0, but victims of their first red card of the season. Ben Mee having been initially shown a yellow for a lunging challenge on the Villa substitute Leon Bailey. And in the end, after several replays, David Coote upgrading his decision to a red card. Brentford actually don't have a game next Saturday. They were due to be playing Manchester City, who are away, of course, in Saudi Arabia now. So it's going to be a long time on the sidelines in terms of calendar days for Ben Mee, as it's played in by Conser into the edge of the penalty area for Villa. Runs loose, Duran chasing it, hammered away by Onyeka deep inside the Villa half. Are we going to see more of a backs to the wall performance now from Brentford, who are about to throw on Nathan Collins, another central defensive option?
Looks that way, doesn't it? I think Janup's just gone left-sided centre-half at the moment, so still that back 5 is in place. Wissa in a midfield role now, so kind of a 5-3-1 with Maupay obviously up there by himself.
Yeah, Maupay probably didn't think he was going to have quite as much running to do as a lone striker when he came on, but just a couple of minutes later his teammate Mee was sent off, and Villa just holding out some hands there to say calm down, as that was a bit of a panicky ball across the field from Leon Bailey, which set their progress back a little bit. It's with Pau Torres inside the Brentford half of the field. We mentioned about Brentford's propensity to lose points from winning positions this season. Losing a man doesn't help. 14 points they've lost from those winning positions, but now Maupay has it on the halfway line. Villa with that high line, but Maupay having to dribble back inside his own half, and he's having a real tussle with Boubacar Kamara, and the Villa man comes out better. Kamara over the top looking for the run of Duran through the middle, but it was headed away for Brentford by Pinnock on the edge of the penalty area, and it's back to the Villa keeper Martinez.
What a opportunity now for Aston Villa to take points. It looked like the game was getting away from them, certainly 10 minutes prior to that red card. Brentford starting to make chances as well, so if they've got aspirations of staying around the top positions in the Premier League, this is a fantastic opportunity to take maybe even 3 points as Brentford tire towards the end of this game.
The ball is with Duran on the edge of the penalty area, shoots low from the edge of the box under pressure, and it's angled off target. Flecken threw himself to his left anyway, but it was well past the post. And here comes the third change for Brentford, and it is Johan Wissa coming off to be replaced by central defender Nathan Collins, one of their big money signings. So Wissa, I mean, he's worked hard, he's tried to sneak in behind that high Villa line today. He's had a couple of half opportunities, and he's certainly walking off like he's given his all, but he's also walking off at the kind of pace that you'd expect someone to walk off 1-0 up with 10 men, 15 minutes to go.
Yeah, I think he's done really well. As I touched on a few times about Thomas Frank's game plan, he's been central to that, and his movement was really good, especially in the early part of the game. Unfortunate not to score with a header in the second half, and what that will mean, well, Yannick will just step forward back into midfield, Collins into the back five. Still difficult to break down, I tell you. You've got three very, very combative midfielders, a back five, physicality. They've sit in their shape. Maupai's not going to hold the ball, he's not going to run him beyond, he's going to have to try to do that, but it's just going to be Aston Villa probing with all the possession. Can they break down what is a very athletic and aggressive Brentford 8 that they've got back there now?
Substitute Leon Bailey off the right hand side for Aston Villa, drives it along the inside the Brentford half. It comes out to the left, and Moreno here. Brentford still holding that 1-0 advantage, and it's picked away by Ruslev down this near right side for Brentford, up towards Mopé, who tried to hold it up but missed it. And here's Diego Carlos on the halfway line. Bit of space in field for McGinn now for Villa, who are going to have to continue to show an element of patience here. Well, despite their man advantage, because Brentford are dropping very deep onto the edge of their own penalty area. McGinn out to the right hand side, it goes to Bailey once again, chops onto his left foot, lifts it one towards the back post, and in the Moreno with the header to equalise for Villa. It didn't take long. Moreno's had a couple of sights of goal earlier in the game, sneaking in at the back post this time, unguarded, and nods it into the net for Villa's equaliser. 1-1.
Yeah, the extra man just paying off straight away. Bailey, that extra bit of quality in the wide positions, and Ruslev just got drawn in field to Kamara, and they've got a man over naturally because they've got an extra player now. Ruslev doesn't know that Moreno's there, in on the blind side, and it's a really nice firm header into the near post. What an opportunity, as I just touched on. Villa back level.
Second goal of the season for Alex Moreno, having missed a lot of it through injury. Scored in Europe, now scored in the Premier League, and now 1-1, and we talk about Brentford's leads they've let slip this season. Well, there's another one that's gone. The game's not over yet, but having got themselves in that position, they couldn't sit on the lead for more than, 5 minutes or so between me sending off and the Villa equaliser. Leon Bailey, though, again with that pinpoint accuracy showing his value. He gets the assist for the cross across the penalty area. 1-1 on 5 Live Sports Extra, and here come Villa again with Watkins looking for the run of Duran through the middle, nodded behind by Nathan Collins. Brentford wanted an offside that didn't come, and a Villa corner on the left, and now it's their fans who suddenly sensing belief. Corner on the left to Aston Villa. Jacob Ramsey comes across to take it. Austin McPhee, the Villa set-piece coach, right out directing things on the edge of the technical area. They roll it short. It comes back out to Bailey, who's come across to this left-hand side. Onyeka stretches out a foot, out for a Villa throw 10 yards from the corner flag. Ben Mee, by the way, Sam, will miss a month. He won't come back to the 20th of January. They've got a cup tie against Wolves on the 5th of January and Premier League games against Wolves and Brentford. Wolves and Crystal Palace that he'll miss. Remember, red cards do count in cup competitions, yellow cards don't. So Ben Mee is going to be out for over a month's worth of football now, with no game to come on Saturday for the Bees. The ball is on the halfway line. 1-1 on 5 Live Sports Extra. Lewis Potter just before half-time, and Moreno equalising for Villa. Here's Pau Torres, 35 yards from goal, rolls it along the field to Ezri Konsa, who's got 10 yards of space to work with. Out to the far side it goes, and Leon Bailey again, they double up on him. Brentford want a free kick, the referee's playing the advantage as Godos travels up to halfway, but an aimless ball from Godos. He shanked it out of play anyway, and it's a yellow card for... Who was that for? Leon Bailey.
Yeah, just a little rash over on the far side. Coming in with a challenge, and I think Godos has just got to do a little bit better up against Bailey, especially for the goal. Got to try and stop the cross, especially now they've got the extra man there, and it was just a product of that disorganisation as well that it brings. You know, you haven't had an opportunity to organise. Probably the goal comes so quickly after them going down to 10, and that substitution with Collins coming on for Wissa. So they probably got to grips with it now, but stopping those crosses definitely from the wide positions, now that Aston Villa can, in essence, shove an extra body into the 18-yard box.
Exactly 10 minutes to play here at the G-Tech Community Stadium on 5 Live Sports Extra. Brentford and Villa level at 1-1. Brentford with 10 men after Ben Mee sending off for a lunge on Leon Bailey, and Villa are about to throw on Nicolo Zaniolo as well, the Italian who scored in midweek in Europe in Bosnia, his first goal for the club, as the ball is wasted by Pau Torres into the edge of the penalty area, and Norgard with the ball up to Mopé on this near side, but Diego Carlos read the danger and stepped across and knocked it out on halfway, where Zaniolo, the sub waiting to come on, caught the ball and got himself unnecessarily tangled up there with the subs and the fourth official, and Brentford's attempts to restart. And here comes the change for Villa, and it's going to be Pau Torres coming off, and on comes Zaniolo. So another formation tweak here as they take off a centre half and bring on Zaniolo on the left hand side. It looks like Boubacar Kamara has gone into the back line and Ramsey slotted in centrally, Sam.
Yeah, it looked like he had a little problem, didn't he, Pau Torres, in the last few minutes. Probably a product of that one early in the second half when he collided with Wissa, just moving a little bit gingerly. But yeah, Zaniolo, I think that was his first goal, wasn't it, in the week in Europe. So he'll come in with a little bit of renewed confidence. He's looked a decent player when I've seen him so far this season, and another goal threat.
Interesting that Villa, I mean, they have got a centre half on the bench. They've got Clement Longley on the bench, but they've opted to bring on Zaniolo and drop Boubacar Kamara into the back four rather than going like for like with centre halves. Brentford have turned the ball over here inside the Villa half. Norgard with a reaving run, still going, sets it to the edge of the box. The challenge on Onyeka as he pulled his leg back to strike the ball. Referee again not interested, and here come Villa sweeping forward with Leon Bailey down the right hand side, trying to pile bodies into the penalty area. Leon Bailey, top of the box, turns back onto his right foot. A bit of the momentum is lost from the move. Brentford have got organised. Conser though lifts it in, headed away by Zanka for Brentford in the penalty area, and Brentford have got it, and that's lovely footwork again by Norgard, but Mopé's got absolutely nobody with him, no one within 20 yards of him at the moment. On the far left hand side, has to bring it to a halt, and then he knocks it in field to Norgard, and still a chance for Brentford, but they can't find Onyeka, and Villa back in possession.
Looked like a foul to me on Onyeka. I thought Norgard did brilliantly, getting them into the 18-yard box, taking Villa players with him, the potential of maybe getting a collision and getting that penalty. Now they're kind of up against it, and then I thought that he just set it nicely for Onyeka, and I thought there was a foul there. David Coote waved it away, much to the annoyance of the Brentford technical area once more. It's getting quite good down there.
West Ham have got a third against Wolves through Jared Bowen, another assist for Paquetá. That's 3 assists for him in the game for all 3 West Ham goals. West Ham 3, Wolves 0. Still Arsenal leading Brighton by a goal to 0. They're going top of the table ahead of Liverpool, Manchester United. Live on 5 Live at 4:30. But still here with 7 minutes remaining. Brentford 1, Aston Villa 1. Villa equalising within 6 minutes of Ben Mee sending off. And now Villa once again have it inside the Brentford half of the field with Moreno on the left hand side. Across the top of the box it goes, and now Diego Carlos. Moreno continued his run. They're looking for Watkins, who hasn't had too many sights of goal in his second half, Ollie Watkins, as it goes out of play for a throw into Villa inside Brentford territory.
Now it's been a frustrating afternoon for him. He'll hope that chance will arise. Just thinking there, Thomas Frank, he's fired up at the moment. He's had the yellow actually, so he's just quieting down the last 5 minutes or so. But I'm just thinking on reflection, surely the blame, he won't put the blame on Ben Mee, but he'll know, and surely he'll acknowledge that was a poor decision from the experienced defender.
Zaniolo around the outside, down the left side for Villa, and he wins a corner as it's knocked behind by Roersleff. Corner to Aston Villa on the left hand side, who did come back to equalise in the second half last season here through Douglas Luiz. They haven't won in the league at Brentford since 1947 in the old Division 1. Aston Villa, of course, a chunk of time where they haven't been in the same division in that time as well. As the referee waves Villa with Ramsey to get on with his corner. In towards the near post, and it's gone in all the way through. Nodded home And Watkins has had the chance against his old club. Johnny on the spot, 6 yards out, and there's a fracas between both sets of players in the back of the net as well. But Aston Villa have very quickly turned this game around and lead 2-1.
When it's going for you, Chris, that's the type of thing that happens as a centre forward, and it's all going off in the goal at the moment. Surprisingly, Ollie Watkins going for it, really, celebrating in front of his old supporters, the Brentford fans at that end, but I think it takes a little nick at the near post and it just lands yards from goal right on the forehead of Ollie Watkins. He can't miss, and that is the season he's having, the form that he's in. The most simplest of goals for Ollie Watkins to get yet another goal this season.
Well, the fracas between probably about 10 or 12 players followed as a result of Ollie Watkins, as you say, Sam, celebrating enthusiastically in the back of the net, looking towards the Brentford fans who are singing some less than complimentary songs about Ollie Watkins. But there is that kind of striker. One chance, one goal. It's his 9th Premier League goal of the season. The referee David Coote is still sorting out the nonsense that followed here. There's going to be some yellow cards handed out. Ezri Konsa gets one and Saman Ghoddos gets another, one for each team. The Brentford players are gesticulating, Sam, that somebody had someone round the throat there towards the referee.
I can only suggest, just going back to Ollie Watkins for a moment, I can only suggest he's been getting a bit of grief from behind that goal, because he's not that type of character, is he? Absolutely not. It's just flicked on, isn't it, by Kamara, and it's perfect for Watkins, who's arriving. He's just on the move while the Brentford defenders are a little bit statuesque and in the back of the net, and just stares up at the old Brentford support and gives them a bit of stick. Hence a bit of madness now that's ensued.
Neil Maupay is getting the run around here from some Villa players. He tries to get the ball. Nicolo Zaniolo keeps throwing the ball over his head. The Brentford players are absolutely furious about this. It's Brentford 1, Aston Villa 2. The referee David Coote is now, I think, going to come across and speak to his assistant referee here, as he knows he's going to show another yellow card to John Duran for getting involved, I think, with messing around with the ball. And it's all happening. Frustrations boiling over, understandably, for Brentford, who have seen their lead disappear here. We talked about an instinctive finish from Keane Lewis-Potter in the first half, Sam, having just seen that replay of the Watkins goal. He reacts so quickly on the edge of the 6-yard box, and actually, having said he celebrated, it was the sort of the non-celebration as he stood with his double teapot on, wasn't it?
He's actually pointing at someone in the crowd, which is probably suggests that someone, an individual's maybe been given a bit of stick. I used to like that one myself, so
I bet you did.
Yeah.
Well, Ollie Watkins will have the last laugh here. As we said earlier on, this is his 5th game against against Brentford. He's never lost to them. Might have thought for a long time that might be ending today, but this game has turned around after Ben Mee sending off. 2.5 minutes of the 90 to play. Brentford 1, Aston Villa 2. Ollie Watkins, the former Brentford striker, who they sold for £28 million. There's another yellow card is going to be given out here to Janelt for a challenge on McGinn inside the Villa half, and the game's just breaking up and frustration coming to the surface.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, Thomas Frank will think back about the Ben Mee red card, but again, I don't think he can have too much frustration about that. You know, I think it's the right decision, you know, kind of in keeping with where we are, Chris. And it's not to say that I want it to be competitive and I want tackles to be able to go in, but I think Ben Mee, even in, you know, we think back to 10 years ago, that probably still would have been deemed a red card in some quarters. So it was a risk. It was a risk not worth taking. The ball was the other end of the pitch from his goal. It's a costly mistake that's going to cost his team.
Yeah, I think it definitely falls into the endangering the safety of the opponent, doesn't it? It was lucky that it glanced Leon Bailey. Here come Villa again, who really are on the charge now, and across goes Zanka to make the challenge over on that far side. Brentford have just made a couple of other changes, by the way. Michael Olakigbe has come on, the young striker. He's come out wide on the right-hand side. They took off Janelt. And it's lofted long by Brentford. There's just over a minute of the 90 minutes remaining here. Villa leading by 2-1. Their 7th game in 22 days. After the victories over Arsenal and Manchester City, they're about to throw on Leander Dendoncker, our Aston Villa, to come and try and win a few balls in the centre of the park as we enter the 90th and final minute. Another change, by the way, was made by Brentford. They also brought on Yehor Yarmluk, the teenage Ukrainian, as well for these remaining minutes. Another attacking substitution. Villa take off Jacob Ramsey and replace him with Dendoncker. So, Brentford 1, Aston Villa 2. Brentford on course for their 5th defeat in the last 6 games. Up to the halfway line it goes. McGinn, the Villa captain, who tries again to... Well, that time he tried to keep his feet rather than easily falling to the ground. It nearly unravelled for him as Norgard was all over him. And now the challenge of Ola Kikbe on this near side, and then Onyeka dives in rather. He's going to get a card now as well as he challenges Zaniolo. Onyeka, who some felt was lucky to stay on the field after a challenge in the Sheffield United game, and Zaniolo is making the most of that challenge from Onyeka.
Yeah, he's good fun, isn't he, Zaniolo? He's certainly fired up both benches. He's been involved in pretty much everything to this point.
10 added minutes, Sam. I thought that was a substitution for a minute when I saw 10 coming up on the board. 10 added minutes. This will be a 100-minute game. G-Tech Community Stadium, it's been a lively one, particularly in the last 20 minutes since that sending off. Lewis Potter's goal cancelled out by Moreno and Watkins for Villa. And now they're chasing the third, which will finish the game. Brentford looking to pounce on the counter with their 10 men. Ball back in the centre circle with Diego Carlos.
Yeah, as you said, Chris, still in that back 5, but Ola Kikbe is on the right-hand side of a forward player, so he's going to...
Oh my goodness me, into the side netting as Martinez from a back pass, and then throws himself to the ground as well after a challenge by Mope. That's pathetic from Martinez. There was hardly any contact there between the two, but I was looking down, Sam. You gave me an elbow because as we looked up, Martinez completely missed the back pass and it ended up in the side netting.
I thought that was going to end up in the back of the net. How they've escaped there, I don't know. Just into the side netting. It's Leon Bailey, plays it back. He's dribbling back into his own half, plays it back from miles away, and Martinez, well, I don't even think Martinez is sleeping, it's just a woeful pass from Leon Bailey, whipped it, almost found the near post, and then Mope, who likes a bit of needle himself, doesn't he? Steams into Martinez.
Brentford have a corner, trailing 2-1. The referee stopped the game before the corner came in. There was too much tomfoolery going on in the penalty area. Well, having seen the replay, they're actually the blame on Martinez I think we can take away, because it was an awful back pass by Bailey, as you say, with whip and bend, and it ended up nearly in the bottom left corner of his own goal from almost on the halfway line. Anyway, Brentford corner on the left, trailing by 2-1. We've played 2 of the added 10 minutes nearly. In comes the corner from the left-hand side, powered away for Villa by Diego Carlos. Loops to the edge of the penalty area, and they'll try and set Bailey on his way. Duran in pursuit as well. Onyeka did excellently on the halfway line. Knocks it back to Flecken.
Yeah, very good from Onyeka. Terrific pace to get back in there.
And here comes Mope down the right side for Brentford. His cross is charged down by Moreno, but behind for a Brentford corner. And still the G-Tech Community Stadium believes that 10-man Brentford can get back in this game.
Yeah, they've sprung into life, haven't they? Probably buoyed by that Leon Bailey attempted back pass. It was almost like a cross, wouldn't it? It was kind of the pace and the whip that you'd put on a delivery at the opposite end of the pitch.
Kai Havertz has put Arsenal 2-0 up against Brighton at the Emirates, so that one looks like it's finished. Here, Brentford have got a player lying on the ground before that corner comes in. It's Nathan Collins who's down, holding his mouth. Again, there's so much going on in there now, Sam.
I mean, I think Mope's quite a petulant character at times, and I don't agree with everything he does, but in terms of what he just did with Martinez, I thought that was a good moment to just get the crowd up, just give him a little chest bump, didn't he? Martinez went rolling on the ground, and it's just brought this stadium to life again.
Watkins and Collins it is who are wrestling each other off the ball as that corner comes in. Villa get their head on it, but it's heading back towards the byline, hooked away inside his own penalty area by Duran, out towards this near side, and Brentford settle for the throw, which Onyeka will take. Unai Emery's almost on the field down there, turns around and apologises to Simon Hooper for pushing the boundaries of that technical area. We've got 6.5 minutes of added time still to play, which is oceans of time in the context of the game. And Brentford now trying to push Villa back inside their own half. Watkins is getting the jeers for his celebrations after scoring what might well be the winner against his former club. Over to the right hand side it comes from Brentford, looking for the substitute Ola Kikbe. Spectacular clearance away from Duran, then Moreno missed his header. Onyeka deals with a bouncing ball, and Ola Kikbe tries to sneak in. Onyeka's gone down off the ball. There's so much happening here, Sam. We're going to have to watch different things, I think, me and you, to keep our eye across everything.
Yeah, I'm quite enjoying Duran just positioning himself in a left back momentarily. I don't know if that's instruction or if he's just found himself there. And the complete madness that's ensuing in the technical areas is glorious, because they're going absolutely ballistic and then apologising to the fourth official. It's bizarre.
It's a busy end to the game, no doubt about it. Brentford have got a throw in on the right-hand side, which Zanka came across, thought he was winding up for a long one, but in the end he lifts the cross into the penalty area with interest, headed away by Dendoncker for Aston Villa, and now Zaniolo maybe with a chance to release Watkins, who's inside his own half. That really will rile up the GTEC Stadium if he goes and scores again. He's got the ball at the moment. Brentford players need to keep their heads as they charge after him. Ola Kikbe, and then Godos, who's on a yellow card, closes him down as well. Watkins does excellently, finds McGinn. 25 yards from goal for Aston Villa. Thought about a shot for a moment. Here's Konsa, he does shoot, and it grazes the side netting from the Villa right back. 2-1 Villa lead, there are 5 minutes to go.
Yeah, talk about a bit of negativity inspiring a player there. The whole crowd booing Ollie Watkins, and he produces probably, aside from the goal, his best moment. Brilliant hold-up player, just holding 2 or 3 Brentford players off, and then a little bit of panache as well in his pass, just clipped it into John McGinn in the middle of the pitch. Wonderful forward play.
He now goes, by the way, to number 3 on the all-time Aston Villa goal-scoring list. He was level with Dion Dublin, who's actually coming up on 5 Live with Liverpool-Manchester United commentary at 4:30 with John Murray. Ollie Watkins goes 1 ahead of him now with 49 goals for Aston Villa, as a free kick is given for a foul by Ola Kikbe on Zaniolo on this near side, which the Brentford fans, I don't think they agree with, Sam, looking around.
No, they don't agree, but I mean the player agreed with the official because he stopped Ola Kikbe. It was 100% a free kick on Zaniolo, and unfortunately Brentford's opportunities in this game just dwindling. Oh, here we go, Martinez and Mope again. I told you.
You cannot take your eyes off that particular contest. Mope's on the ground, Martinez is walking over, he's pulling Mope up by the shirt, almost taking it off his head. And again, this is absolute nonsense from Martinez, but again, he knows what he's doing here, Martinez. There are players running over to push Martinez now. And it's again another cluster of 7 or 8 players pushing and pulling each other and finger wagging. Unai Emery is right down there as well, grabbing his goalkeeper to say calm down. Villa lead 2-1. There are numerous members of the coaching staff coming along the touchline as well. It's a red card here. Is that a red card for Boubacar Kamara of Aston Villa? Something's gone on there in the frenzy down there, and Boubacar Kamara of Aston Villa has been shown a straight red card by David Coote.
Yeah, and John McGinn saying to Martinez, what are you doing? We're in front in this game, keep your head. Saying the same to Kamara as well. Everyone on both teams just losing their composure there. Yarmolenko ran 70 yards to get involved. He was the aggressor from the Brentford point of view. Well, they're earning their money, the old security team down there.
Well, we're just getting a replay here to try and see what Boubacar Kamara has done in the chaos. He's pushed Yarmolenko in the face, I think, hasn't he?
He has, yeah. Yarmolenko, like I said, he ran about 70 yards and shoved a few people, so he's fortunate if he's going to escape without being yellow carded at least.
Well, Simon Hooper, the 4th official, is right down here on the edge of the pitch with Unai Emery. Is Unai Emery getting a yellow card? He has got a yellow card as well, so both managers are now in the book. And Emi Martinez there, Sam, has got Boubacar Kamara sent off because he started all that by picking up Mope.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm not sure if Martinez saw yellow, but
I don't think he did.
I mean, it's quite peculiar what he did, but he's essentially pulled Mope's shirt off his head, which I don't know what it falls under, but it's probably a yellow card, is it not?
I think certainly the aggressive approach from Martinez deserved a yellow. Now eventually there's a yellow card as well for the substitute Yarmolenko, who, as you said, Sam, charged over and got involved in that. There's another VAR check going on here, we're notified by on the big screen. It's absolute chaos here at the end of the game at the GTEC Community Stadium. It's now 10 against 10. It's Brentford 1, Aston Villa 2. And I think the VAR check is over. Looking at the referee, indeed, he's about to blow the whistle for the restart here. I'm keeping my eye on the technical areas as well, Sam, because you just have to have eyes everywhere here. There's no further punishment coming off. They were checking the red card given to Kamara, actually, and that VAR decision has been confirmed. So Kamara remains sent off. 3 games he will miss for that as well. So he's going to miss some big Christmas fixtures. Have Brentford got anything left here? Mope, since he's come on, has got involved in a lot of things. And down the right-hand side it comes for Brentford again. Moreno allows it to run out of play, and the Villa here just need to take the sting out of this.
Yeah, not the end of the game that Nathan Collins was probably anticipating. He's up front now.
So we've got Duran as acting left-back for a moment. You've got centre-half coming on, now playing centre-forward. We've got 2 managers in the book. We've got 2 players in the red card early bath. And at the moment, Ollie Watkins riling up the whole stadium by scoring the winner against his old club as Villa win another free kick on this near side. We've played 99.5 minutes of the 10 minutes that were added on.
Well, I know it's only a minute, but that numerical advantage gone now gives Brentford half a chance. If they can build something going forward, Collins up there to support Mopai, you never know.
West Ham have beaten Wolves 3-0. Arsenal have beaten Brighton 2-0. Both of those full times. Here, Martinez eventually taking the restart. And of course, all that nonsense happened in that 10 minutes added on. So there'll be more time, maybe a couple of minutes added on top of that 10. As Brentford get the ball back inside their own half with a throw in here. 2-1 to Villa. They're going to go as that one's hammered out of play by Diego Carlos. Villa going to move into second position in the table if they can hang on to this, pending that Liverpool-Manchester United game. Live on 5 Live from 4:30. More football on Sports Extra from 6:30 this evening. Villa against Brighton in the WSL. We're going to be joining the Champions Cup rugby over the road at Harlequins soon, as well as they take on Toulouse. But this one not quite done yet. And that ball down the left-hand side from Brentford. That's the kind of ball you want to play when you're leading 2-1 in the last minute, not when you're winning 2-1, deep inside the Villa half, and it goes out of play harmlessly for a throw.
Yeah, and unfortunately for them, circumstantial more than anything. They haven't really got that option down the side or over the top now. Obviously not with Collins. Bless him, up there, running around, but Mopai as well. It's not really his game either, so the pass wasn't on there, and Aston Villa just trying to disrupt and run the clock down now.
They're taking a quick one down the right-hand side. Villa here trying to catch Brentford out. It's Leon Bailey on the right-hand side. Pulls it back to the edge of the area. And there's Frank Onyeka again to clear it away for Brentford and out for a throw. Of course, so everybody in the ground can see on the big clock that now stays running. There's 101 minutes and more showing. And the big lettering next to it says +10. But of course that chaos a minute ago was in this 10 minutes. So still some time to play here. Villa have it over in the corner. They've won a throw-in, which will suit them perfectly. A couple of their players just getting in the ear of the referee saying, hang on, we've played the time. Conveniently ignoring that fracas a moment ago that saw Kamara stupidly really sent off. Both sendings off have been totally avoidable. Villa play the ball across the penalty area. There's a race on here between Ola Kigbe and Alex Moreno. Moreno keeps it in play just down on this left-hand side. And back it goes via Diego Carlos to Martinez. Villa on for their first win in the league at Brentford for 76 years, as it's lofted forward by Martinez to the halfway line. Watkins the likely match winner, but here's Nathan Collins over the top, acting centre forward, didn't quite have the turn of foot. He's offside anyway, and it'll be a free kick to Villa, and that is full time. Chaotic end. Boos for Ollie Watkins, who heads straight off down the tunnel here. Quite a few inquiries towards the officials. What a barnstorming last 20 minutes we had in that game. Aston Villa have won it, coming from behind to win by 2-1. Keane Lewis-Potter gave Brentford the lead on the stroke of half-time, his first Premier League goal. But the game changed just 20 minutes from time when Ben Mee was sent off after a consultation with the VAR monitor for a lunge on Leon Bailey. 6 minutes later, Alex Moreno headed Villa level at the back post, and then the former Brentford man, Ollie Watkins, headed the winner with one of his only sights of goal of the afternoon, his 9th Premier League goal of the season. Late sending off for Boubacar Kamara of Aston Villa as well, after the fracas started by Martinez and Mopai. Barnstorming end to the game, Sam, but most importantly for Villa, they kept their heads enough to get the points.
Just about. Colossal victory for him when you consider European football, the changes they had to make today because of injuries and suspension. 1 defeat in 13 just shows you that they are going absolutely brilliantly. And listen, there's no way that Brentford deserved to lose that game today. It's circumstances, it's the red card that just led to them losing. Definitely deserved the point from what was a really clever game plan, I thought, from Thomas Frank, and they very nearly pulled it off despite of being down to 10. But that mentality, that strength in depth that Villa have got, I believe now, when you look at the bench, the players that have come in, and that desire to win football matches, again evident today. It's a brilliant win for them. It's the type of win that will get people saying, just maybe, could this be another season that we saw with Leicester? I don't think it can be, but it's a colossal win for them again.
A word on Brentford, got themselves into a good position. They haven't been going well. It's 5 defeats in 6. We know about their unavailabilities, but I say a busy Christmas period. They actually don't play now for 10 days until nearly the new year, but maybe Thomas Frank can get 1 or 2 back. Maybe Matthias Jensen back will be an important player for them.
Yeah, I mean, the programme's not going to be as packed, and that's going to be to the benefit of Thomas Frank getting people back. I think they're clearly missing, Tony's been out all the season, and Bomo's going to be a massive blow. Jensen's a huge player for them as well, having to do without his services right now. But what we did see today was a brilliantly designed plan to get the better of a team that is banging form. And I thought Thomas Frank's tactics were excellent. I thought the front two were excellent. I thought the decision to go a little bit more direct from the mobility of those front players was excellent. The endeavour was good. The organisation, they played really well today. Very unfortunate to leave with nothing, but I've got such confidence in Thomas Frank and his coaching staff that they won't be deterred by that, and they'll be back and they'll take points off the big boys once more, like they have done over the course of the last few seasons.
Sam Parkin, thanks so much for your company here on 5 Live Sports Extra. Been very enjoyable and entertaining end to the game from a neutral perspective. Probably not so entertaining if you're a Brentford fan. Villa have won it by 2-1. They go second in the live table, up to 38 points with their 4th win in 13 Premier League away games. Brentford remain 12th in the table with 19 points from their 17 games, and I'm afraid that is now 17 points that Brentford have dropped from winning positions this season in the Premier League.